Irene, I'm live. What?
Where's the plate?
What?
Nothing doing.
I can't hear you.
Where's my plate?
What? Irene?
The plate.
What plate?
The plate you use.
Irene, Huh? I'm live.
My normal plate.
What normal plate?
Where's the plate?
The white
Here
one.
he's having a
What? It's
domestic.
in the fridge with me. I can't
pizza
hear
on
you.
it. Why?
Oh, that's all right.
Huh?
That's all.
What? Irene? Does it matter?
No,
Rod, you interrupted my
What
live
plate?
stream to start the live stream. Huh?
my normal plate.
You got to be
What
kidding.
normal plate?
The white
Here
one.
he's having a
What?
domestic.
It's in the fridge with me. I can't hear
Pizza on
you.
it. Why?
Huh?
I forgot to mute the stream. I've got all these echoes of what? What? What?
Did I forget to
Oh
mute?
boy.
You did.
Ah, right in the middle of I was just about to start. So people come up to you and ask you stupid bloody
Oh,
questions.
dear.
Oh dear. They're the things
Oh,
I've got
you
to
did
put
a
up with.
Terry.
They're the things I've got to put up with, I tell you. No, I didn't. There's more than one plate. I think there's only one plate in the kitchen or something. Anyway, what was it? Where was I? You want me to start the timer again and start again? Lose me train of thought now. How do we have to delete that? See, I didn't swear though. Anyway, now I've forgotten what I was doing. Oh yeah, we're live. That's what we're doing. Yeah, I know we run late a bit, Miro, but that's just the way it is at the moment. And I don't think we're going to get a lot talked about tonight because I think a lot of people's minds are on something else at the moment because I keep hearing about it everywhere I turn. Something to do with over what's going on in America. And there's all conflicting different stories coming out of who's winning and who's not winning and why and how and whatever. So just have to wait till the final results out. Whenever that'll be, I don't know. I'll see if we can talk about a little bit what I wanted to bring up. Uh, grab that, 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 and that. I'll grab those few things. I don't think we read that one. Because that's where I got the thumbnail from this article. So going by the thumbnail I had, that picture of that car is this. It was called it's a modified Stanley steamer. They called it the Rocket, and it did a land speed record in 1906. The speeds, I forgot what it was, 127 mile an hour or something, or similar. So why did people think steam-powered cars were a good idea? In the early days, steam cars were as common as gas ones. Why aren't we driving them today? In the early days of automobiles, there was an alternative to gasoline, steam power. In fact, on this day in 1906, a modified Stanley Steamer, one of the more popular steam-powered cars, set the land speed record for automobiles. Moving at the speed of 127 miles an hour, and 0.66, Fred Marriott drove the car to set a record that wasn't beaten until 4 years later by a gas-powered Benz. Writer Matt Simon for Wired Marriott's record wouldn't be beaten by another steamer until 2009. So that's a long time period in between for steam power to be set again for a record. He modded a popular consumer car produced by the Stanley Motor Carriage Company between 1897 and 1924, Simon writes. The car wasn't perfect. Such steam-powered automobiles, which were at one point manufactured by 125 different firms, could take up to half an hour to light the pilot, fire up the boiler, and build the requisite pressure to move, he writes. Still, steam provided a cleaner and more reliable alternative to gas-powered cars, which were hard to drive and a pain to hand crank. Here's Simon's account of the day. Marriott set the record from a rolling start on a hard-packed sands of Florida's Ormond Beach, just north of Daytona Beach. His Stanley steamer rocket was 16 feet long and 3 feet wide, and had it not been for the wheels, spectators may have mistaken the thing for an upside-down canoe, especially since it was sitting next to the water. But once that raucous boiler got going, propelling the beast 1 mile in just 28.2 seconds, they realised it probably wasn't a canoe. That was probably funny at the time. Oh, what's this picture? Marriott tried to break his own record in 1907. Instead, he wrecked his car. He never tried again. Okay. Don't know how he wrecked it, but anyway. If things had gone another way, maybe we'd be all driving steam-powered cars. Why aren't we? The answer? Henry Ford and the assembly line, Simon writes. Ford figured out a way of mass-producing cars for the burgeoning market, and in some ways that was a much bigger innovation than the Model T, which, by the way, was 6 times cheaper than the Stanley steamer thanks to Ford's innovations. As is still true today, the scale required to mass-produce vehicles discouraged innovation in cars that weren't the kind already being mass-produced. Now we have fairly developed gas-powered cars, but could steam's deficiencies have been remedied with more R&D? I think that's supposed to say. Original steam cars needed huge, heavy boilers to withstand the heat and pressure, and even small steam cars weighed a couple of tons as a result, writes Sebastian Anthony for Extremes Tech. With modern materials, steam cars could be as light as their internal combustion engine cousins. Throw in an advanced condenser and some kind of flash boiler, and it should be possible to build a steam car with decent efficiency and a warm-up time that measured in seconds rather than minutes. Sure would beat having to line up at the pump again. Yeah, as long as you've got something to burn, you'll be right. Okay. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to get an actual video of anything to do with what we're doing unless I get the modern land speed record footage of the one they did more recently in the early 2000s. Right, that's that. Okay, that one. Swap that around. There's a little bit more of an article here. I don't know if that rehashes the same thing or not. Just different accounts of the same thing. This is dated for January 26, 1906. Fred Marriott lets off some steam. A mechanic in the seat of a steam-powered automobile sets the land speed record, 127.66 miles an hour again. In 1906, a mechanic in the seat of a steam-powered automobile set land speed record of 127.66 miles per hour. Fred Marriott's milestone isn't bested until 4 years later when a Blitzine Benz used a gasoline engine to reach 141.7, so only gained an extra, just under 20 mile an hour for petrol motor. His vehicle was a modified steamer, a popular consumer model that the Stanley Motor Company produced from 1897 to 1924, which we've already read. Such steam-powered automobiles, which were at one point manufactured by 125 different firms. I've already read that bit, so it's the same. Already read about Henry Ford. Already read that. I think we've already read that too. In 1907, Marriott returned to the Floridian stands with an improved model of the Stanley steamer rocket, hoping to break his own record. He was thought to have been approaching 150 mile an hour when his machine hit a gully, took to the sky and split into two upon impact. Marriott survived but would not attempt the effort again. Marriott's 1906 record wouldn't be topped by another steam-powered vehicle until more than a century later, when Charles Burnett III reached 136 miles an hour and 151 mile an hour during 2 runs in California Mojave Desert, much to the delight of spectators, steampunks and local purveyors of fresh water. I wouldn't have known nothing about any of this if I hadn't researched it and read about it. You know, we're all thought about the petrol-powered one. It did the land speed records, but not steam-powered. Okay, do I have any more info? Everything else I've got thinks already covering it. I think this one's got the same info. This one tells you a little bit more. So I already read that part. For your car buffs, according to Daniel Vaughan, the rocket had a limited drag, canoe-shaped. It was 16 feet long, 3 foot wide at its widest point. It had aerodynamically designed with most of the components housed within the body. Its 3.1 litre engine was a twin-piston double-acting type that was capable of producing a reported 275 or 1000 psi. That's 700 degrees Fahrenheit. The entire vehicle weighed less than 1680 pounds. I'd have to work all that out in metric, wouldn't we? I think that's one of his wreck and the other one's his first attempt. I can't read the small print. And that's about when he had the accident. The Stanley, there was twins actually, the Stanley twins, Green Tech pioneers. The rocket, which was one of many inventions by twin brothers Francis E. Stanley and Freelon O. Stanley, who were widely known as FE and FO. Their own inventions included a patent machine that coated dry photographic plates and and an early airbrush nozzle. Today they'll be considered green tech pioneers, although in their day steam ruled and gasoline was the lesser known alternative fuel. Their lust for speed sparked in the summer of 1897 when they saw a French inventor demonstrate his steam-driven car at a local fair, inspired by his wife's inability to master the art of riding a bicycle. Francis urged his brother to help him develop their own steam car. I think Jay Leno's got a Stanley steamer too in his collection. The Flying Teapot. The FE and FAO formed their own company in 1898 and produced their first steam car, which became known as the Flying Teapot. It was easy to run and could achieve speeds up to 35 mile an hour. Although the car was an instant success, the Flying Teapot had its downsides. Drivers had to stop every 10 miles or so to refill the boiler, and the large objects travelled at breakneck speeds terrified people and horses alike. Breakneck speeds, 35 mile an hour. As a result, speed limits in town range from 5 to 10 miles an hour. Police went to great lengths to catch speeding motorists. The brothers sold their company after only a few months, but they returned to the business of making cars in 1902 when they formed the Stanley Motor Carriage Company. Their cars came to be known as Stanley Steamers. They staged various events to publicise their steam cars, including racing up mountains and racing against gas-powered cars. To promote their machines, they actively competed in auto races, pitting their steam power against gasoline-fueled engines, often winning. The Stanley steamer achieved fame when brother F.E. Stanley did a mile in 2.11 seconds on a dirt track with a 30-degree incline. In 1903, the Stanley's plant employed 140 workers. In 1918, they sold the business after manufacturing more than 10,000 steamers. In 1908, the Stanley brothers produced and sold for about 2,500 a gentleman's 30. That's pretty expensive, 2,500. A gentleman's 30 horsepower speedy roadster capable of 60 miles an hour that could run more than 50 miles on a single tank of water. That's not too bad, 50 miles I suppose. Since these almost 13-foot long models were the sport racing cars of 1908, most were driven into the ground. And the winner is: electric vehicles were clean and easy to start, but limited to their range. Steam-powered vehicles were also clean and quiet, but required a few minutes before starting to allow steam to form, and needed to be refilled every 10 miles or so. Stanley's most successful year was 1907, with 775 steamers sold. The gasoline engine was hard to start and noisy, and dirty once it did. But with the advent of the electric starter around 1914, it dominated the market. The Stanley Steamer Company closed in 1924. Okay. Okay, that's that one. We're done with that. Okay, well, might as well just read this last bit on this one. British-built steam car smashed a 103-year-old world land speed record for steam-powered vehicles. The 25-foot-long British steam car, nicknamed the fastest kettle in the world, reached an average speed of 139.843 miles an hour on 2 runs over a measured mile at Edwards Air Force Base in California. Driver Charles Bennett beat the previous record of 127 miles set by American Fred Marriott in a Stanley steam car at the Daytona's Beach Road course in 1906. Mr. Burnett piloted the car for both runs, reaching a peak speed of 136 miles an hour on the first and 151 mile an hour on the second. So that's 100 years difference, and that's still only. It's not as if they've doubled the speed or anything. So there must have been limitations for steam. Weighing 3 tonnes, the British steam car is made of a mixture of lightweight carbon fibre composite and aluminium wrapped around a steel space frame chassis. It burns liquid petroleum gas in 12 boilers containing nearly 2 miles of tubing. Demineralised water is pumped into the boilers up to 50 litres a minute to cool the blistering burners, which produce 3 megawatts of heat. Steam is superheated to 400 degrees, that's not very hot really, 400 degrees C, and injected into the turbine at more than twice the speed of sound. The car is brought to a stop by large Goodyear tyres, brake discs and a parachute. Oh, that's the picture of the... That's the picture of it there. Where's the... Got a fire system. We can have fire. It's got a built-in fire. I don't know if there's any other pictures for that. I'd have to look. Anyway, I'll stop sharing that. Miro said technology has improved so much nowadays. We have steam rockets. Oops. Yes, Miro. Yeah, that steam rocket didn't go down too well, did it? Well, I don't know if we've got any updates on the election stuff. I'd have to be looked separate. And looks like somebody's already guessed your question, which was... Scientist of the day was a chemist who discovered that biochemical processes could occur without the presence of living cells. In particular, that fermentation could happen without living yeast cells.
Yeah. Was Edward Buchner.
Oh, Ed Wood.
Buchner
I thought you
funnel
spelt
is
it
named
wrong.
after him. Edward.
Ah, okay. What nationality would that have been? German? Austrian?
I don't know.
Unusual
I'll find
spelling
out.
of Edward. Sounds like
He was born in
Austrian.
Munich, so that would make him German.
Yeah. It ain't Bluebird, is it? Yeah, yeah. Miro, the blue. I think it was Bluebird, the one. That's a. That was. I thought that was a rocket-powered one. That wasn't petrol-powered. I'll see if we can find some info about the election, just so we keep people up to date who's interested. ABC's going to be no good, I don't think. Oh, here we go. What have we got here? I can't share it with you guys because it's... They've got Biden at 238, Trump 213. I don't know what that means. But the overall seats, I think. They're not giving me anything else to go by on that one. Try a different site. There was an NBC type site that may give us something. Where'd it go? I did have NBC before. EIE Networks sharing something about it. That's any help. I don't know how that's helping. I don't know. I don't know how to understand it. So doesn't give me anything to go by. No point in sharing that if we don't know what's going on.
They go by those college votes, don't they?
Pardon?
That they base a lot of their voting on college voting or something, which is rather technical. You know, it's.
I got no idea.
Mm,
And the votes have just come in.
try to
The
follow it.
people have just gone to the polls. Like for the amount of postal votes that have got to come in. But once they reach the certain numbers, that's it. But I don't know how close they are from what I just read then. I thought there was an NBC. Oh, here we go. What's this one? I've got House Control 227. Oh, shit. I've got no idea what all this means. 46-47, Republic. Senate. Biden 220, 213, Trump. They're showing a map of America with the red governor. I don't know, GOP. I don't know what that stands for. Anyone
It's
know
the
what
opposition party.
what's it called?
Government.
GOP.
Yeah, government opposite. Yeah, it's the opposition.
Yeah, I know DEM's Democrat.
Yeah, government opposition party or whatever it is.
So they're showing the states that are in red and blue. So if they're already coloured in whatever colour, that means that state's already won that seat. So that's the way it looks like to me. And how many seats they get in the Senate. I don't know how they work that out because you got. Is it their voting paper the same, similar to ours, where you have all other different people written down for your local state or whatever? I don't know how that works over there. Got no idea. Somebody will give us a concise points. You have to reach 270, then you win. Yeah, that's what I was figuring out, Miro. That's all I can see so far. Yeah, Donald Campbell. 50s and 60s, was it? That far back. They'll continue to count the votes tomorrow. Yeah, well, they're only at 220 and 213, if that's, or 227, 208. I don't know, but why they've got so many different numbers to go by. Which ones are which? Which is the overall numbers? Because that's not helping that site. That's just running through the seats and the stuff like that. So that's no good to me.
We've got a huge number of counties too. Like, yeah, in one state there'll probably be about 50 of them.
Going by what I've got here, it's 238 and 213. 238 for Biden and 213 for Trump. If that's the main number, I don't know. I got no idea. If you win California, you get 56 points. Texas is 36, Florida also 36, I think, and so on. Wow. Well, this is going to be pretty well a very ordinary stream tonight. I've got a couple of videos to watch. Blue's got one for his Cavendish. I think he's up his last updated one. That's his last update video. I've got an Isaac Butterfield video. What would Australia vote for Trump? What would you have as for us, Paul? You got anything at all?
Yeah, I've got a little bit of funny derp and a 20-question quiz. So
Yeah, it's going to
yeah,
be pretty
cool.
ordinary tonight. So everyone
Oh,
else
Terry.
everyone else is sidetracked with this voting thing.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
I'd say they are. Where's Blue? I don't know what time is it. He wouldn't be not quite up yet, Miro. He doesn't usually get here for another hour. If he does get up early. What was I doing then before I read that? Oh shit! Now I forgot what I was thinking. GOP's Grant Old Party equal Republican. Really? Why won't they just say Republican? Jeez, why do they have to be different? 50 states with different points each. Huh, I know, that's ridiculous.
And you know what? The funny thing is, soon as they find out who wins, Terry, they'll start preparing for the next election.
Okay, we'll get the t-shirts printed out as soon as we know who wins.
Yeah.
Pip's got a new video. I'll just look at that, Stewie. I'll grab that. I'll have a look for that. Where are we? Where's Pip's? A new one? I thought she should have it out. I swear I'm not swearing. Okay. How long does that go for? Oh, it only goes for 2 minutes. Okay. We'll finish off with that at the end. That only goes for a couple of minutes. Okay, what else have we got here? And Rich posted something over in Fairsuck. I got no idea. Some meme. You can have millions of people more voting for you, and you still lose the election. Can we do religion now? Politics, religion. What else, John? All the big ones. I hear birds.
Yeah, birds tweeting. That's outside my window, yeah.
What are they doing? What
It's
are
just,
birds? What are they tweeting at this time of night for?
It's twilight.
Ah.
It's Twitter light.
That's
why they're twittering.
That's what I was just going to say, yeah. Twitter light, not twilight.
Yeah.
Twitter light.
Literally.
Literally, yeah. We get millions of, well, not millions, we get thousands of, they look like bats that fly over at twilight in summertime.
The old fly
Well, it could be bats.
There could be bats, yeah.
They probably are bats.
Yeah.
Because if we remember the answer to one of the quizzes we had recently, what is the most what type of animal is the most prolific of species in the mammal for mammals?
It's bats. Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
Why do
I think
We've got
birds
the wattle
suddenly appear?
birds.
Suddenly appear?
The what? Yeah, the wattle birds are going crazy here at the moment because all of the bottle brushes are out.
Wow.
And they
Okay.
love them. Yeah,
Ooh, sweet nectar out of bottle brush.
yeah, yeah.
We got all the grannies going for
There's
it.
so many bees in the tree that sometimes I think they're going to carry the whole tree away.
That's a new hobby you could you
Right.
could do. You could be a beekeeper.
A beekeeper, yeah. I could put a bee box in the backyard and have my own honey. Yeah,
Get your own honey. Yeah.
that'd be good. That'd be good. Yeah,
Well, that would assume that they were honeybees and not other species that were all buzzing in your.
yeah. They are honeybees. We don't have many other types of bees here, so
Yeah, we only got one type.
there are. Yeah, there are European wasps around, but they're not as populous as the bees yet. So, and we don't have Africanized bees here yet. So,
So before the Europeans brought honeybees to Australia, what was the main
Bush
pollinating?
bees. Bush bee, they're little black bees. A native bush black bee.
Right.
They're very small. They don't sting or anything.
So they behave. Okay.
Yeah.
It's only been in the last year or so that I've discovered, well, not this year, but last year, that I discovered just how many different species of bee we have native here in the UK. Lots and lots of different ones. When you start looking carefully.
oh,
You
yeah,
know,
there's quite a few in Australia.
Yeah, I've never seen. I've
quite a
never
few.
ever seen.
Quite a few native Australian bees too. We've got apparently the stingless bees. We've got yellow and black carpenter bees. We've got green carpenter bees, reed bees, blue banded bees, teddy bear bees. Wow. Leaf cutter bees, resin bees, Homolictus bees, and masked bees.
Okay,
I
so
wonder
you
if all
have.
their names are Zorro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say Zorro. Zorro.
Yeah.
So you do have a decent amount of native.
Yeah, native. Yeah,
bees.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, we do indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just the way you said they're all honeybees. It was like, oh, so you don't have much in the way of, because like if I go outside in the summer and go to some of the, go to certain places, you can see like a dozen different species of bees all collecting nectar off the same big clump of bushes,
Yeah.
because they don't seem to get aggressive to each other.
No.
Dave says I got native bees in a hive at home. Oh, that's cool.
So you going to play any videos, or do you going to play any videos, Terry, or do you want me to do my thing?
I do have here, which I prepared earlier, part 1 and part 2 of certain person.
Oh yeah, please. I need a bit of.
And I was going to play both because they only go short. They're not long ones, so I thought, oh yeah, we could play both. They both go for the same amount of time each. Yeah.
Oh yes, and wow! I heard Sleeping Warrior got visited by the police.
Oh.
Ooh.
Mm.
Bit of gossip.
Did you hear about it or read about it?
I heard about it in one of I think it was in Mr. Sensible's stream.
Oh.
Yeah.
Miss-
Apparently, he was using an intro to his videos, calling all, globe heads spastics,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
was, and apparently someone complained to the police about it, and the police went round to his door and told him to stop doing it because he was breaking the law by doing so, and so he stopped using the intro.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but will that stop
Yeah.
him saying it though?
I would
Well,
think
apparently
so.
it did. It did.
Yeah, I mean, it's a word that has fallen out of
Common
use.
use. Yeah.
and is now considered offensive.
Yes. Yes.
So political correctness in that context.
No, not really. And one of the reasons it fell out of use was because it was being used in an offensive manner.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, don't play that one of soundbite then. What do we got here?
Sorry, I just saw what Miro put in the side chat. So I am assuming that the question is, how many firsts can you get in a space capsule?
Mm. Yeah, if you put them all through a blender, you could fit a lot more in.
Exactly.
Then the density would be equal.
Yeah.
Here we go. We haven't had him for a few weeks, so I think he's So he's going to read all that off the board. He's been busy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't read the last numbers at the bottom. What, 19 or something?
Holy dooly.
Yeah. What's the numbers go up to down the side?
11, 18,
18,
19.
19.
Wow. Is he going to go through all that?
Wow.
He has been
Is this
busy.
his latest one?
Yep. And there's 2 parts to
Ah.
it, and they both go for about 5 minutes each or 4 minutes each.
Ah,
So I'll play
Oh,
them
dear.
both. I'll play them both together. Okay, push your monitors back and all that stuff. It is being played. Did he forget that he had it rolling and you forget he was making it the stream?
You got the sound on?
Yeah. Yeah, sound's on all the way.
he's probably confused himself. Where do I start?
Yeah.
Are we supposed to just read this for ourselves?
Is that what he's done? It is too.
Oh, no.
It is too.
What?
That's all it is. It's just a live.
He's not presenting anything.
Yeah, what's on the
No.
blackboard, on his whiteboard.
Oh,
That's it,
Okay.
on the whole thing.
Oh.
Okay, well, that's
Oh,
all right.
bugger.
He could have at least got a flipping tripod and put his camera on the tripod high enough that it was square to the whiteboard. Unless his wall really does lean back that much.
No, I don't think it does. Unless it sticks out at the bottom of the whiteboard.
It's a bit hard to read there. I'll
Yeah, I
get it up
don't-
on his channel and maximise it and see if I can.
Read something, yeah. I'll pause it because there's no point in playing at all. Play 5 minutes of nothing.
Okay, Lindsay Harris. Yes.
60 frames per second.
I can't even
So
read
which one is this, Terry?
Uh,
Is this the 5 minute so-for one? Yeah,
yep,
it
yeah,
is.
504, yeah.
Yep.
The title, read the title first because I can't even read that.
I can read the title off the top of the board. It says Flat Earther Discoveries in the Year of Research,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it does.
Part 1.
Point one says south and north so-called poles are identical, not opposites. Identical, IDENTICLE,
Okay.
identical,
hmm
Yeah,
and
spells that.
opposites, OPPERSITS,
hmm Okay.
opposites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Wow.
spelling looks like I wrote it then.
Spelling, correct spelling is optional, apparently.
Yeah. At least I've learned to use a spell checker.
Well, it doesn't look like there's much to read out if you just read out each one.
Okay. Point two. Point two says south and north's magnetic fields travel to the tropics and pass through the Earth, not south to North Pole. Except, Lindsay, that they don't. That actual realistic observations show that they do travel from one pole to the other, and they're about horizontal at the equator. They don't go down vertically through the equator like you're suggesting, Lindsay. Point three. The magnetic field from the south passes down through the Earth, south of the equator, to rise up at the Arctic. Aurora Borealis. No.
Yeah, you can take our silence.
Just,
what the?
just no.
So that's what causes the aurora borealis, is the field coming up through to the Arctic. Okay.
Yeah, that's what he thinks.
Yeah, that's
In reality, the aurora borealis is created because the magnetic field does come out of one pole and into the other pole, and in doing so, the magnetic field lines have to cut the Earth's atmosphere. They do so closer to the poles, and when the magnetic fields trap charged particles from the solar wind, these charged particles spiral along the magnetic field lines, and where those magnetic field lines go down into the atmosphere close to the north and south poles, they interact with the atmosphere, giving off the radiation, the visible radiation that we see as the auroras. That's why they happen at the poles, because that's where the magnetic field comes down through the atmosphere. Elsewhere, the majority of the particles that are captured travel along the magnetic field lines outside of the atmosphere, and so we don't see them interact with the atmosphere at mid-latitudes like the equator and so forth.
So in his assertions of his model of his magnetics coming through the equator, we'd see an aurora borealis in that area too, but we don't.
We would, yes, but we don't. We don't. So that's another indication that he's is bullshit.
Yeah.
I am just far enough north that we occasionally can just see aurora on the northern horizon in the
Oh, cool.
in the winter when it's nice and clear.
Occasionally, we see it here. Like I've seen it occasionally from my location here in Victoria, in Australia, but very rarely. It'd be something like once every 10 years or something.
Yeah, Hobart gets it a fair bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a bit
we
further south,
usually
though.
get it we usually get it once or twice each winter.
Yeah.
Northerners go up to northern Scotland, and it's not an uncommon occurrence to be able to see it.
Yeah. So what point are we up to? We're up to
Aurora
point
borealis.
4, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The North's magnetic field travels to the north of the equator, passes through the Earth to rise at the south. Australis Borealis.
Australis, Borealis, what?
No. I think he means Aurora Australis.
Yes.
That's the southern aurora.
He got that
Yeah.
about us.
Yeah, in one of his other videos, didn't he? Yeah. That's what you get if you combine the two aurora together. The Aurora Borealis, the Australis Borealis. Yeah. And once again, the same reasoning applies, that if that was the case with the magnetic fields, we'd see such auroras at the equator or near the equator, but we don't.
Yeah.
Point 5. Earth's magnetic fields are strong at high altitude, but weaker as the pass back down at the tropics to pass into the Earth. Well, he's literally just making that up.
Yeah.
Because I doubt very much whether he's taken any actual measurements, because if he would have taken measurements, he would realise that the magnetic field doesn't actually pass down into the Earth.
Well, for one, yeah.
It's parallel with the surface of the Earth. Like, it does pass through the Earth, sure, but the field lines are approximately parallel to the equator.
And I don't think that. And I don't think we could even. I don't even think we could even test it at the different altitudes for any difference in the magnetic field from the as well.
Yeah, they have ways of doing that.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, they have ways of doing that via satellites. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But so he'll deny those as well, though, of course, won't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Point 6. Earth's magnetic field is positive above ground and negative below ground, very weak along the surface of the Earth until it rises at the pole. Well, I've never heard of a positive magnetic field or a negative magnetic field. I don't think that magnetic fields have positiveness or negativeness. They have direction. Yeah. They have direction associated with them, as like they are a vector field, but they don't have charge, so they can't be positive or negative. So he's wrong there.
Oh, he's wrong. He's wrong everywhere.
Yeah, wrong everywhere. Yeah. 7. Earth's magnetic fields are at the. Earth's magnetic fields rise at the dry, cold air of the poles and descend at the dense, moist air of the tropics. Ask a pilot what happens at the tropics. Well, again, in consistent fashion, Lindsay is wrong here, because moist air is actually less dense than dry. So it is not more dense, Lindsay, because water vapour is less dense than air. There you go.
Yeah, well, ask Lindsay what clouds are.
The reason why water vapour is less dense than the air is because water, H2O, has 2 hydrogens. Each hydrogen, of course, only has an atomic weight of 1, and the oxygen, 8, so that's a total of 10. But oxygen molecules in the atmosphere and nitrogen, they're diatomic molecules. So there's O2 and N2 as part of the air. So they're much heavier, those molecules. So the air is denser than water vapour. Point number 8. Yeah. Questionable point number 8.
Yeah, questionable. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Earth acts the same way as a ring magnet. Rising magnetic field north. Yeah, descending field south. Yeah. No, it doesn't, Lindsay. It acts more like a bar magnet than a ring magnet by the shape of the magnetic field. You know, the magnetic field is distorted by the solar wind, so it has a sort of like a tail on it. It's very distorted, but it's the same sort of shape as if we would have a bar magnet through the centre of the Earth between the poles. Questionable point 9. Earth has a centre magnetic vortex at the Arctic at altitude unseen by man. Well, if it's unseen, Lindsay, how do you know it's there?
Yeah. and where's his?
Like,
I'm guessing special magic powers.
yeah.
Get your wand out. Get your wand out, mate. Ding, ding.
A magnetic vortex. What is a magnetic vortex?
Magnetic vortex.
Come on, we've been
magnetic.
taking the mickey out of his magnetic vortex for a while, haven't we? I think we know what he's talking about.
Yeah. Magnetic vortex. Yeah. So that means, you know, those magnetic stirrers that you have in chemistry labs where you put your beaker on the top and it's got the little magnetic stirrer at the bottom and the magnetic field underneath spins and it turns the stirrer without any connection to it other than a magnetic connection. You know what those are, don't you? Yeah, magnetic stirrer.
It's basically it's basically a little motor, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So we could take such a beaker with a magnetic stirrer in the bottom of it to the North Pole and have our fluids stirred just by the Earth's magnetic vortex, couldn't we?
We could, although I think we'd have to take it up very high or something.
Maybe, Alan, that's why there's no flights across the North Pole.
What do you mean there's no flights across the North Pole?
Well, didn't you hear my after that? You know, because why? Because if the aeroplanes actually flew over the North Pole, they'd be spinning because of the magnetic vortex, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
It'd throw all their instruments
I suppose
out,
actually, when you look, most of the flights don't actually go right directly over the pole.
Can you imagine?
But I think that's partly because obviously they need to be for a lot of the twin-engined aircraft. They have this extended range thing, don't they? But they still have to be within a certain flying distance of somewhere to land all the time, which limits, which is of course part of the reason why they don't fly directly over the pole in the southern hemisphere as well. It's too far away from somewhere to divert to.
Yeah, it's a wee bit dangerous.
Yeah, and actually, if you look at all the great circles from like the Australian cities to the southern cities to the cities in South America and to the cities in South Africa, none of those great circles really pass that close to the southern pole either, do they?
Yeah, and you know the atmosphere is actually thinner at the poles too. So, all right, questionable point number. What are we up to? Point number 9, I think. Earth has a centre magnetic vortex at the. Oh no, we've already done that one. Unseen by man. Yeah, we've already done that one. Questionable point 10. At the Arctic Basin Centre at altitude sits the Milky Way and all the celestial bodies. At the Arctic Basin Centre at altitude sits the Milky Way.
Yeah,
The Arctic.
it's inside the magnetic vortex, isn't it?
Mm.
If I remember rightly, as is the sun. Yeah, the sun and the moon and all the stars and the Milky Way and everything else is all shoved. Is all shoved vertically through the North Polar magnetic vortex, and then
Which is kind of weird. Yeah, which is kind of weird because
reflected.
because of countless measurements and observations taken over hundreds of years, we've kind of figured out that Earth is actually, and the solar system are actually part of the Milky Way. So how can we be part of something that's sitting at our center vortex? You know, it kind of like doesn't make sense. Okay, questionable point number 11. The Milky Way sits vertically in the center of the vortex, like the core of vortexed water south. It doesn't make sense. So it sits vertically. I don't know how.
Not horizontal.
No, sits vertically apparently.
John said this is the worst science quiz ever, Paul.
I know. It's terrible, isn't it? Yeah.
And he answers the correct answer.
Yeah. Point 12. The Milky Way is the one and only black hole, a vacuum.
Milky Way.
The one and only black hole.
So
Even though scientifically we've actually observed many of them, and it's not the only one, Lindsay's going to claim that it is the only one. And he's going to claim that the Milky Way is actually a black hole. Not that there's a black hole at the center of the Milky Way, but the Milky Way is a black hole.
Yeah, but he put vacuum on the end of it, so what?
Yeah.
Oh, because it sucks everything in, so it's got to be a vacuum, because vacuums suck.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
Yeah. I'm going to say, no.
No.
It's like as if he didn't finish the sentence, or he added the word without thinking.
That wasn't a no. That was a no. Don't you know anything?
like it's not as if they're at the complete opposite ends of the spectrum. I mean, a vacuum is literally as little as what we can get in a certain region of space, whereas a black hole is about the most we can cram into a certain region of space.
Yeah.
Complete opposites of each other.
But they both suck.
I think
I know vacuums don't suck, but
they don't. No.
I tell you what does suck.
What?
Gravity.
Mm.
I tell you, no, Paul. Remember, my legs don't work properly. Gravity sucks because it really sucks when you fall over.
There is no gravity. The Earth sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Questionable point number 13. In the Milky Way sits the sun. The voltage created as in a magnetic induction system.
Magnetic induction system. Voltage. Magnetic. How do you get heat to magnet?
What's inducing the voltage?
Well, not the light, not the.
Don't know. Yeah. Normally, you've got to have some kind of like current crossing the magnetic field to induce a voltage, don't you?
I can't see any connection there.
I don't think that makes sense.
Nah.
No. Point 14. The downward spin in the vacuum Milky Way has the planets circling at its perimeter chasing the sun.
What?
What? So apparently there's a downward spin in the vacuum, the Milky Way. Kind of like
it's got that
everything
spiral. He's got that
in the
spiral.
vortex, I suppose.
Yeah, he's got that vortex spiral effect. But I don't know.
So what happens when they're sucked to the bottom of that? Do they magically like get spat out somewhere else and appear at the top again?
Anything. He keeps drawing that spiral vortex, but he doesn't.
Yeah. And so apparently the sun's spinning around in that vortex in the Milky Way, and the planets are circling at the perimeter of that vortex and chasing the sun. Wow. That's a bit weird. Point number 15. The sun sits at the perimeter of the downward spin.
Huh?
The bulge in the Milky Way and turns 24/7. I'm not sure what he means by turns there.
Yeah, and what he means by 24/7, like our 24 hours in our day to our 7 days a week.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I suppose.
Yeah, but that's in our model. So he's
Yeah,
pinching. He's
exactly.
Pinching,
That's
he's
right.
pinching that from our model.
Yeah.
You can't have 24 hours in a day and 7 days a week in your model.
No. Oh no, this next point is going to hurt my brain. The sun is the proton. The planets and moon are the electrons.
Don't you say electrons.
The electrons.
What?
Electrons.
The electrons. The electrons. Magnetic sun electric.
Wow.
No.
Yeah.
Number one. Protons are positively charged. The sun overall is a neutral, right? It must be overall neutral because if it wasn't, if it was positively charged, then we would see the negative charge in the solar wind being attracted towards the sun until it was neutral. If the sun was negatively charged, we would see the positive particles in the solar wind being attracted towards the sun until it was neutral. So we see both positive and negative charges in the solar wind. So the sun is not charged. It's not a proton.
Isn't that how currents flow?
Yeah. It's got lots of protons in it, but not only protons, lots of electrons too. All right. And no, same thing with the planets. Well, the planets and the moon are essentially neutrally charged overall. Sure, there are places on them where there is a charge that's gathered, but overall the system is neutral.
Yeah, it's like like a lightning strike. Yeah, it's got a positive charge building up, and
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because it's the same reason. If the Earth was overall negatively charged, it would attract the positive particles from the solar wind and repel the negative charges until it was neutral. So, yeah. Okay. Questionable point 17. Planet retrograde is the sun lapping a planet. How does that explain us seeing the planet going backwards? That doesn't. It's not the sun lapping a planet, it's us lapping a planet. That's why the other planet appears to go backwards. It's literally us lapping the planet going around the sun. Point 18. Sun and moon are on the same path. New moon is the sun caught up to the moon, lapping it.
What? New moon? Does he mean a full moon or a new moon?
No, it means a new moon.
A new moon.
All right. Yeah, because the full moon would occur with the moon completely opposite the sun. All right, so that you're seeing that, and literally, I suppose the new moon would be the moon going in front of the sun. But hang on, if they're on the same path, wouldn't the sun bang into the moon as it caught up and lapped it?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. What
if they're on the same path?
Yeah, the new moon or a full moon.
Yeah, and wouldn't the moon get like very hot? Wouldn't the illumination change as the moon got closer to the sun? The brightness? There's lots of reasons why this is not true, Lindsay. And the last point, point 19.
Here we go.
Solar eclipse involves other planets retrograding at the same time as the moon, namely Mercury.
Mercury? What's Mercury got to do with
what?
A solar
How does
eclipse?
Mercury get in between us and the moon?
I know.
It beggars disbelief how something gets in between us and the moon when the planets are supposed to be in the Milky Way with this vortex in the center. How does that now then get in the way of the moon? Not quite sure of that.
Yeah, that one's got me beat, that one.
That one's got me beat too, yeah.
Wow.
You know what we didn't see in any of this? There's a discovery he's missed. We should put down point number 20.
Well, there is a second video.
Oh, yeah, I suppose. Yeah. The point being that...
Don't judge yet. Don't jump to conclusions.
Oh, yeah. The point being that remember how everything in the vortex is physical and everything under the dome is projected and non-physical?
Oh, yeah, his projection. Of
remember that? Yeah.
He hasn't mentioned that yet. Or maybe in the second video.
Yeah.
So here we go.
So there, folks, you have 19 things that are wrong with Lindsay's model.
And that's with the spelling mistakes.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Here's part 2.
All right, I better get part 2 up too so that I can read it. Unless someone else wants to take over reading.
Wait a minute, I better do it the way Alan says to do it. How does he
What's
say
that?
to do it?
There are more points. There's 20. Yeah, okay. So you could be right, Terry.
You've got to do it that way, and then you've got to do... wait a minute. I don't know how Alan does it. I thought that worked. That's part
Tell me when
1.
you're ready, Terry.
Well, I thought I was, but... It's not supposed to do that.
I've got my local copy of it up, so...
Oh, okay. We should be there. That's where we should be. And then... go to there. Share screen. Yeah, it worked alright the way I had it in the first place. I didn't need to do a transition thing. It worked alright without it. Yeah. I should have just left it the way it was. No, that's part 1. What happened to part 2?
You get the right.
Look, so I stuffed myself up. Get back there, you. Start again. I was alright the way it was. Right. Close that one. Grab that. Grab that. Share that. There we go. All done. It was alright in the first place.
Okay. You're ready, are you, Terry?
I still can't read it, but I can read.
That's all right. That's all right. I can read it. I can
read flat and part 2, I think.
Well, look, I've got it locally maximised on my screen, so I can read it quite easily. So I'll do it. Part 2, point 20. All the celestial bodies sit unseen in the centre, North Vortex, and till night falls, when they are projected out as holographic images into our night sky.
There's your holographic.
Here we have the normal claim of these holographic images. You know, like it seems to be a magic cure-all for how things work with the flat earthers. If we don't understand what it is, it must be a hologram, even though we don't actually understand what holograms are or how they're created. We'll claim it's a hologram.
But you can break this one up
Yeah.
into a few sections because he claims nighttime and daytime. And on his model,
Yeah.
I never actually seen anything that explained nighttime and daytime.
Yeah, and the point too that sometimes we can see planets like Mercury and Venus, not so much Mercury, but Venus especially, during the daytime. In fact, that's most of the times that when we do actually see it, you know, at sunset or sunrise. We can see it at night time too, but we often see it as the evening star or the morning star during the day. It's bright enough to see during the day sometimes. And we also see the moon during the day too. How is that projected holographically?
Yeah.
I don't think they understand how holograms really work, that to create a hologram, you need an interference pattern. The interference pattern is recorded in a photographic plate by reflecting laser light of a monochromatic laser light off of the object and also illuminating the plate with a reference beam. And those two beams, the reflected light from the object and the reference beam, form an interference pattern at the plate, and it's recorded in the photographic emulsion. And what you then do is once you remove the object and you no longer have the light reflecting off of anything there, you can leave the reference beam there and place that developed photographic plate back in the same position and illuminate it with the reference beam. And by looking through the photographic plate, you will see the image as if it was there. And you can move around and see it change. So to create a hologram, you need some kind of plate to record the hologram on. You need some kind of reference beam, and you need some kind of physical object to reflect the light off it. So this explanation of Lindsay's about how it's projected holographically out doesn't really cut it. Okay, we live in an enclosed magnetic system. Okay, 21. I guess there's a small percentage of that that's actually correct. We do live in a magnetic system, and we do live in a kind of enclosed system, in the sense that that magnetic field around our planet protects us from charged particles entering our atmosphere just willy-nilly and frying the hell out of us.
Yeah, if we didn't have our magnetic field, there'd be a problem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The atmosphere would be gone. It'd be blown away by the solar wind, literally. Yeah. Yeah. So it is a magnetic system in some sense, yes.
So
100%.
we can say sort of
Yeah.
got something sort of right.
Yeah, but it's not magnetic in the way that he suggests it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Point 22. The center Earth vortex is a rising magnetic field that has built up pressure, creating a cross circuit, followed by what science knows or calls the Big Bang. This is the creation of the sun and planets.
Oh, don't bring the Big Bang into it, because that's still being debated till today.
In the words of Dr. Evil, there would be no. Just no. How about no?
Ever since they put that Big Bang theory out, they've lapped onto that.
Because the magnetic field is obviously created by something physical. And how is that something physical creating the magnetic field, which is supposedly causing the Big Bang, when isn't it the Big Bang that's supposed to have created all matter in the first place? Don't sort of get that. Lindsay's implication here is that matter must have existed before creating the vortex, which then created the Big Bang, which created the matter, which created the vortex. Kind of circular reasoning, isn't
Yeah,
it?
circular, that one. First you've got to explain the
Yeah,
Big
it
Bang,
is.
Lindsay.
Yeah, yeah. Point 23. Earth has to separate sky rotation, has to separate sky rotations with a definite gap between them at the celestial equator.
Oh, not the deck.
I think he's
Yeah.
talking about the two star rotations with the central star rotation at the equator. I think he's trying to explain that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which he's
It
not.
doesn't
Which
sort of
he's not
work like
explaining
that,
it.
does it?
Yeah,
No,
it's not helping.
it doesn't. I've seen him draw diagrams of these separate rotations and join them together in the middle there, and it kind of looks very similar to what you'd get if you took a very wide angle lens photograph of the star rotations, looking due west or east,
yeah.
at the equator. So yeah. So having the north and the south rotations on the left and the right, with either the west or the east in front of you, you see the stars go overhead and you see those rotations at the extreme ends of the photo, and it's highly distorted, so they don't look circular. They kind of look like a hyperbola, so to speak. Yeah. And he's drawn diagrams that look like that. I suspect that what he's done is looked at photographs like that and commandeered that idea for his own.
Yep, I'll use that.
Yeah, that's right. Those are the two magnetic fields of Earth only seen because the center Earth's vortex projection of the stars into its moving field, but also at the same time the center Earth vortex is turning, working in unison. So the projected stars from the vortex are turning back at the source, and the magnetic field in the sky is moving, not Earth. Oh dear. Oh, what makes the magnetic field move, Lindsay? What causes the magnetic field in the first place, Lindsay? Yeah. No. Point 23. Two sky rotations, star trails, are around Polaris and Sigma Octantis. Polaris all the way out to the celestial equator, then the southern sky rotation of Sigma Octantis all the way to the celestial equator.
Hey? They don't rotate on that axis going that way.
No.
They go the other way.
Yeah. Again, it's the diagram that he refers to, you know, how he has the two separate rotations spinning like gears meshed together at the equator there, you know. Yeah. No, that's not how it works.
But did he get the names right and spelt it? Cygnus and...
Yeah, Sigma Octantis. Yeah, I think he's got that right.
Polaris.
Yeah. Polaris, yeah.
Yeah, I had to get that one.
Yeah. And the last point, the center Earth vortex with the vacuum at the center as the counterforce. No, I'll finish the sentence first before I say that. Down is the black hole. The vacuum acts as an amplifier of frequencies, light creating the images, frequencies light, creating the images we see in the night sky. Nothing is physical up there. This is where the sun sits. And no, Lindsay, no.
So the sun's not physical either then?
No, apparently not. No. Number one, the vacuum at the center is the counterforce. Vacuums aren't a force, Lindsay. Right? A force cannot arise from a vacuum. And why is that vacuum force in the direction of down? Why is it in any particular direction in a vacuum? Is the black hole? No, Lindsay. A black hole isn't a vacuum. A black hole is completely the opposite of a vacuum. The vacuum acts as an amplifier. No. How can nothing amplify something?
And if there was actually physical evidence of a black hole in this area that he's talking about, we'd be able to see a planet or something go past it and notice it that there's something there.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah. So so a vacuum can't act as an amplifier. You have to actually have something physical to amplify something. And you don't amplify frequencies. What you do is you amplify the waveform. You can amplify the amplitude, all right? But you don't amplify the frequency. A frequency is just a number of cycles per second. What does it mean to amplify a frequency?
Well, he's got frequency slash light.
Yeah.
Like he's putting them
under the
same umbrella.
Yeah. You can change a frequency, but you can't amplify a frequency. You can amplify a signal, which has a frequency and a wavelength. And this is something that the flat earthers and people with limited scientific knowledge seem to get wrong all the time. They refer to the frequencies, the electromagnetic spectrum as the frequencies, but really it's just electromagnetic waves. It's a signal, or a photon. You can amplify light, yes. Creating the images we see in the night sky. Well, to create an image, you either need to project an image onto something, and that requires either a lens or some kind of focusing mechanism that redirects light to create the image. And you need to have an object in a position and the lens in a suitable position to create the image in a suitable location. And you can't create images just in thin air. So, for instance, if I take a lens, a magnifying glass or something, and I hold up a match behind it, it's not going to form an image of a match in thin air on the other side of the magnifying glass. You actually have to project that image onto something physical. So I don't know what he's talking about, how nothing is physical up there. It makes no sense. There we go. That's the end of the bullshit.
How many questionable statements was there? 22.
24.
Oh, 24.
24.
Wow.
Yeah. No, there's more actually, because he's got 20, 21, 22, 23, 23, 24.
Hey? I missed that.
He's got two 23s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's actually 25 points there.
Now, why didn't he put that out at the beginning of all these videos that he had made? Because this explains everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Does that answer all your questions, or does it raise about 1 billion more?
I'll get back to you. Don't call us.
We didn't have any mention. We didn't have any mention of a Gaussian physics.
Mm-hmm.
There was no yin and yang in there.
No, he hadn't gone down that road for this bit.
No, there was no locust wings. What else wasn't there?
Daisy petals or something.
That's about it. Yeah.
There was.
There's no Eye of Ra mentioned anywhere in here, so perhaps he's yet to make a third one with the remaining points. We'll look forward to it that day.
Well, that was his latest one on his channel. I don't think he's made anything since. No, part 2 was his last one 2 days ago. I see Mr. Blue dropped in while we were talking.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Blue.
Sorry you missed Lindsay, part 1 and 2.
I am really not sorry I missed Lindsay. Thank you.
Evening, Professor.
Oh, Phil's out
Phil,
in the chat.
hello, Phil.
Hey, Phil. Just finished a meeting, so I missed the beginning. Looks like you guys were having a laugh.
Yeah, we
laugh?
Yeah.
Well, depends on your definition of laugh, because if it was humorous
Yeah.
or
Actually having a
sarcastic laugh.
Yeah.
We were actually having a Lindsay, which is somewhere between a laugh and a bowel movement, I think.
Yeah.
No, Miro, we're not going to repeat 23. Well, the two 23s, actually. It wasn't one, there was two. There were two 23s.
Yeah.
Because Lindsay can't.
Comes under
Because Lindsay can't count either, by the look of it. Or spell. Or write. Or. Yeah, okay.
refer to Rule B.
Right.
So we'll do your thing, Paul, and then I'll throw a.
Hello. I didn't have a real lot of time to throw together some dirt today.
Whatever you throw in the pot and stir it around, and whatever it comes out,
Yeah. Have you ever heard of this concept, Terry?
Pet shaming. That's not the ones where they dress their pets up with clothes and glasses and stuff.
No.
No. Okay. Oh, well, that's not what I was thinking then.
What it is let's say your pet does something bad, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you want to shame him for it. So you hang a note around his neck and take a picture of him telling the world what he's done. That's what pet shaming is. So I had a look on the internet and I found some nice examples of pet shaming. We'll go through a few of those. See if you've experienced any of these with your pets, Terry.
Brand
All right.
We should have done a US election, but tish.
We should have. Maybe we'll do that next time. Yeah. Pet shaming number 1. 0 days since the last toilet paper massacre.
Oh. Look at the look on that poor doggy's face.
He looks guilty, doesn't he? Definitely. Evidence is right there.
You're in trouble.
Yeah. I used to have a cat that did that sort of thing. He'd go in and just claw you had to make sure that there was no toilet paper dangling down from the roll, because if there was, he'd get it and it'd just unroll the whole damn thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a Shih Tzu that would do that.
Yeah. All right. Number 2. I lick the couch a lot. You can see the wet patch on the couch there. Yes. Yeah. I ate a bottle of glitter and now my poop sparkles.
Oh, I've never seen sparkly poop before. That's
yeah.
Better blame the
poop. Yeah.
All that glitters is always poop.
Yeah. All that glitters is not gold, Terry.
Yeah. That's brown.
Yeah. Yeah. I chew through every leash in the car.
You can see the eyes looking up.
Yeah. Yep. We're Mum's favourite hairpin. We also have eaten a USB drive, a letter, and Dad's laptop charger.
Oh no!
Yep.
They've got no favouritism, have they? Some of these.
No.
That could be anything.
Anything goes. Yep. The UPS man forgot to throw me a cookie, so I snuck into his truck and took a ride around the neighbourhood. He had to deliver me home to my house. I can just imagine the UPS man getting out in another address, going to the back to get a parcel out and finding someone else's dog in there and thinking, oh dear. Yeah. I sneak inside and poop on the floor, says the chicken. I clean it up. I think it's delicious, says the dog.
At the look at the dog's faces. What?
Yeah.
What, me worry? No.
That's what my dog does. We've got ducks around the place. Oh, I love that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I ate a 6-foot leash and had to have it removed by the vet. 3 weeks later, I ate a shower curtain. Yeah. I bark really loud out of nowhere for no reason because I can.
Yes, they do.
I let strangers. Yeah, I know. I let strangers pet me, and then I try to bite them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
I used to have a
seen dogs
little
do that too.
Yeah, I used to have a little Maltese Shih Tzu male dog, and he was like that. He'd look as cute as a pie, and he'd look up with these loving eyes, and he'd let you get your hand about 3 inches from him, and then he'd go, "Arr!" Try and bite it. Yeah, and he used to pick certain people. It wasn't everyone. Some people would pat him, and he'd absolutely love them, and be gentle as anything. But other people, like for instance, my auntie. He could hear her coming down the driveway, and he'd already be growling, and the hair would be standing up on the back of his neck, and he just hated her for some reason. She was never nasty to him or anything, but he just didn't like her for some reason. Yeah. I moo like a cow when my human is on a business call.
Oh.
Yeah. I peed on the bed while my dog sitter was sleeping in it.
Oh.
Oh dear. I wouldn't be having a dog like that inside. No way.
Oh, my dog sitter was sleeping in it. And I'm starting to see the problem here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I drove my owner's truck and hit a parked car.
Huh? What?
Yeah.
Oh, you always blame the dog.
Yeah. It was the dog. It was the dog. That reminds me of my little nephew when he was about 2.5 years old. He went over to his dad's work shed and handed him the ute keys, and his dad said, "Oh, what are they for?" And he goes, "No worries, Dad. I parked the car in the shed." He'd gotten in and he'd managed to start the ute and put it into gear and let it run into the garage and crash into the end of the garage where it promptly stopped. And he thought he'd parked the car and taken the keys over and given it to his dad.
No, helpful.
Wasn't very popular.
No, it
wasn't
wouldn't
very
be.
popular. No. I try to get lucky every night.
I'm lucky.
I'm lucky. Yeah.
He looks a bit warm, that bloke.
Yeah. Yeah. I poop in dark bedrooms, and I eat the evidence.
Oh, you don't know one's stepping on it.
Yeah.
Good dog. Good boy. Good
Well,
boy.
yeah. What do you think that looks like, or what do you think that used to look like?
It looks like one of those vacuum cleaners.
Yes, it is. My house was under attack by a new $700 Roomba. I saved us. Did a good job on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ate my brother's brand new baseball helmet, still in the model's bag. Then I tried to eat this
Trying to eat the evidence of the note.
this note. Yeah.
I'm not going down without a fight. I'll eat the paper.
Yeah. Yeah. I poop on yoga mats.
Oh, good on you, mate.
Yeah. I knock over the neighbours' kids and hump them. I should be a registered sex offender. Oh dear. Yeah. I ate the 2015 dog shaming calendar, and I am not ashamed.
Trooper.
Yeah. I was trying to make sandwiches, but then I realised I don't know how.
Oh, there's the evidence.
Oh,
There's the proof.
Yeah.
it's probably Lindsay's dog.
Yeah. My dad works too much. I took care of that. Can I go to the park now?
It was a phone.
It looks like it was a phone, I think. Yeah.
It was a phone, yeah.
Yeah. I humped the leg of a priest who came over for Easter dinner. Oh dear. I fart so loudly I wake myself up.
What? Who was that?
Yeah. Oh dear. My favourite pastime is shoving my nose in crotches and butts.
Oh,
Can be embarrassing when they do that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I sneak into the house of our Buddhist neighbours and eat their food offerings to Buddha.
well, you just left it laying around. What else? You don't leave food laying around.
Yeah. Oh dear.
I like to watch.
I like to watch.
I think we can take that one. What
Now,
you think
what
it could mean?
What could they be? What could they be talking about?
Yeah, what could they be talking about? Yeah.
Yeah. That would be a little off-putting, wouldn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. We welcomed the robbers and watched them take Mum, Grandma, and Papa's stuff. Thanks for
Visiting.
visiting. Come again.
Come again.
Yeah.
Just watch the robbers come in.
Yeah.
What?
They're all happy. Yeah.
Yeah. I pee in my brother's bowl because I get mad that he eats too. This is my third murder this week. I'm not sorry.
I think we've got a psychopath here.
Oh, I think I can't even recognise what it used to be.
Some sort of stuffed animal, probably, of some sort.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
Get the chalk
It's a little
out.
Scottish Terrier or something, is it? Yeah.
That's,
And that's what I had for
No.
you. That's all I managed. All right.
So anyone out there that's got a pet, they can relate to that. for any things that
Oh
they
yeah,
could do.
yeah.
You got a pet, Blue? You got any stories your pet ever did anything that's a bit whatever?
Oh, he really has been a pretty good guy. I can't think of anything that he's ever really gotten himself into.
Have you had him since a pup?
My daughter had him as a puppy,
Yeah.
and she got in a situation where she couldn't take care of him anymore after he was about 2 years old. So we've had him ever since.
So you missed out on all the puppy stuff then.
Yeah, yeah. God knows what he could have done in those days, but he's about 100 pounds of pit bull,
Ooh.
and he can be a handful when he wants to.
Yeah.
But they are
They
the
can
most
be.
they're the most gentle dogs in the world. The only time he ever causes me any grief is when he sees another dog. He loves people.
Mm.
He just wants to kill any other dog he sees. I think he's mad because they might have people too.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
That's a good point, Stewie. All those dogs are good at writing. I never
They
noticed
were,
that.
weren't
I
they?
didn't think of that.
Right,
Yeah.
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 My nana used to have a cockatoo, and he used to talk quite a lot. He'd say all sorts of cool things. But the one thing he would always say when the electricity man used to come round on the farm to read the meter, he used to just sit there saying, "Piss off, piss off, piss off, piss off, piss off, piss off." we thought that was funny, and he always knew when it was the electricity man too. Yeah. All right. Are you ready for a quiz?
Oh, here we go.
I have to find the chat, the internal chat. There it is. Right. Okay. So we have 20 questions as per usual. Some of them are easy, some of them are hard.
Oh, that's
The
easy for you
quiz.
to say.
Yeah, that's right. Right. Question 1. What is the neurotoxic organometal that caused even more injuries in Iraq in 1971-72 than it did in the 50s and 60s at Minamata Bay, Japan? This is a particularly nasty chemical. Does anyone know what it is?
Oh yeah. Oh, where's that chat? There.
Okay, you've got part of the answer right there, John. But that's just the metallic part of it. We want to know what the organic part of it is.
Ah, right. Oh, can't remember that.
You'll get it as soon as I put the picture up, which I will do now.
Is one supposed to be able to see the quiz, Paul?
Can't you see it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Hang on.
Oh, I wasn't sharing the screen. I will do that now. So can you see it now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, good. Okay. Sorry about that. particularly nasty, this stuff. I do believe there was a researcher that got some on dropped some on a latex glove, and it actually worked its way through the latex glove and into her skin. And even though it was only like a drop, she knew she was doomed. And they basically used her as a case study to observe her decline until she died. Yes, it's to do with mercury. For those of you who can see the picture now, it is methyl mercury is the chemical, and it accumulates in the food chain. So the smaller things absorb it, and then they get eaten, and it gets concentrated in the larger animals, which we ultimately eat. So, and that's why they say that you shouldn't survive solely on fish, because you'll be having a high dose of mercury. Question 2. What is the approximate weight in pounds of the atmosphere on 1 square foot surface area at sea level? So think about that. Is it 15 pounds? Is it 1,500 pounds? Is it 2,100 pounds? Or is it 20,000 pounds? Which is the closest answer?
Oh, that's imperial. I got no idea.
Well, think about it. You know what the pressure is at sea level at sea level is, don't you, Terry?
I know that number, but I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't know what equivalent it is, and when it gets into the pounds.
Well, how many inches are there in a foot, Terry?
Yeah, exactly.
How many square inches are there in a square foot? And then you would know how many square inches in a square foot, multiply that by the number of pounds for each square inch.
Yeah, but I don't know what. Yeah, okay.
I think John got it to 10 decimal places. That's pretty good.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you knock that out of your head?
What's an inch brainery? An inch is about the amount of common sense that flat earthers have. So there's the calculation you need to do, basically. You need to know how many square inches there are in a square foot. Of course, a square foot is 12 inches by 12 inches, so that would be 144 square inches in a square foot. And then you multiply that by the pressure, or the pounds per square inch at sea level, which is about 14.7. So when you multiply 144 by about 15, you get around about 2,100 pounds of air. So the answer was C.
Well, most of them got C out there. Surf, Stewie,
Yeah.
John Rapp.
Good. Good. Okay. What common flavouring comes in the long, slender fruit of a climbing orchid? This is an easy one. Yes, we have some correct answers here. That's what they look like when they're on the orchid.
Yeah.
Mm. But when we buy them in the shops, they're often black and dried.
Yeah.
Seeds inside that give the flavour. And of course, the correct answer, as many people have got out there, is not flies, is not red Kool-Aid or root beer. It's vanilla, all right, the vanilla bean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, question 4. What form of radiation most closely resembles X-rays? Is it alpha, beta, gamma, or neutron radiation? Okay, we've got lots of correct answers and the occasional not correct answer. So there's a diagram for you showing you the penetration abilities of various forms of them. Alpha rays are just the nucleus of a helium atom. So they're considered particles. Same with beta rays. Beta rays are actually either electrons or positrons. So they're a little bit more penetrating because they're smaller and faster. But X-rays and gamma rays are considered to be electromagnetic radiation. Okay. So even though we can consider them to be photons, we more normally talk about them as being electromagnetic radiation. So they're similar in that way. And neutrons are, once again, particle-like. So alpha, beta, and neutrons are particles. X-rays and gammas are electromagnetic. So the answer was C, gamma rays. Okay, question 5. In the Tyndall effect, the intensity of a scattered radiation is inversely proportional to the 4th power of the wavelength. Which one of the following colours of light would exhibit the most intense Tyndall scattering? So think about that carefully, right? That the intensity of the scattering is inversely proportional to the 4th power of the wavelength.
Yep.
Inversely means that if the wavelength is big, the effect is little. If the wavelength is little, the effect is big. So you need to know whether yellow, green, orange, or violet light has a little or a big wavelength. Okay, for those that need a bit more of a hint, think of the colours of the rainbow. Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. The red is long wavelength. The blue is shorter wavelength. Remember, because of the inverse proportionality, the shorter the wavelength, the smaller the wavelength, the greater the Tyndall effect. So the correct answer would be violet. Right? Violet, having the shortest wavelength out of all of those colours, would be scattered the most with the Tyndall effect. And that's the reason why if you shine a white light through a little bit of milk placed in water, it's the blue light that gets scattered more. And so if you look from the side, you will see a blue tinge. But if you look directly through towards the light, it'll look more reddish because the blue light is being scattered away from the path. Okay, question 6. 1 trillion is 1 followed by 12 zeros. What is 1 followed by 18 zeros? Is it a quadrillion, a quintillion, a septillion, or an octillion?
Oh, croggies.
A 1 followed by 18 zeros. Irish stew, is that a Nathan Thompson? No, that would be a person followed by what was it, 140,000 zeros on Facebook. Microlonkeric in real scientific language, not silly American language. Okay, and if you didn't know, this will tell you. There's the table for it. And so right up the top there, we have a 1 followed by 18 zeros, and it is in fact a quintillion. Right. The correct answer is quintillion. Tempting to call it an octillion because of the 8 in the 18, but that's not right. Okay, question 7. In daylight, the human eye is most sensitive to which colour? Is it green, red, blue, or orange?
Does that matter if you're colour illiterate or not?
No, not really.
Bugger if you're playing snooker.
Well, you don't usually play it outside in the daylight.
Well, that's the whole reason why they changed the colour coding in electrical cables. You know how it used to be red, black, and white, red, black, and green.
It's blue now.
Yeah, which was a terrible.
It's blue.
Terrible combination because the most common form of colour blindness is red-green colour blindness. So if you can't tell the difference between red and green, imagine the kerfuffle that could happen by connecting the active to earth and the earth to active. That could be a little bit dangerous. So they decided to change it to a combination of colours, which is far less common in colourblind people, which is blue, brown, and green with a white stripe, I think.
Yeah. That's what happened when you snooker players, they're colourblind with red and brown.
Sorry, I was trying to say it's green yellow stripe, but I was muted.
Oh yeah, you're right, Alan. It is, yes.
But it's blue brown. At least it's blue, brown, and stripy.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. You can still buy cable here though that still has the old red and black wires in them here down the hardware store. Yeah, which I find disturbing. Yeah, because if you're buying the cable yourself at home, there are bound to be far more home renovators that are colourblind than electricians that are colourblind. Yeah.
Yeah, because most people ain't going to get through electrician school if they're easily if they're colourblind. Yeah,
Brainery's got a good point there. You lick it to make sure. So.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've used them and I'm quite happy using them, but I always just worry a little bit.
Yeah.
The old testers with the neon in, where you stuck your finger on the other end.
Yep.
And you stuck it in to find the that one always.
It made me nervous too.
There is a direct connection there, even though it's through a neon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. All right. So the answer to this one, there's the sensitivity of the human eye. We have two sensitivities pictured in this graph here. One is the photopic, and the other one is the scotopic. And what that means is the photopic is during daytime, so it's in bright illumination, and that's your cones picking up the light. You have three different kinds of cones in your eye, in your retina. You have red, green, and blue cones that detect those frequencies of light. But when you're in low light situations, your cones aren't effective. And that's the scotopic situation in low light levels, where the rods are now detecting the primary source of detection, and so they're much more sensitive, but only to they don't detect colour, because there's only one kind of them, so you can't distinguish what colour is falling on them. And there's slightly different sensitivities there. But if you combine the two, the peak is right in the middle there, which is the green colour of the spectrum, the green portion, which is the same as the colour that the sun puts out.
Pretty much. It's also why most digital cameras have twice as many green filtered sensors as they do red, or that has as many green coloured sensors as it has red and blue combined.
Yeah. All right. Question 8. Which of the following people is credited as being the father of mass production?
I already answered the question before you even read it.
Yeah, sure.
That was too easy.
You think so? What I'm seeing is a whole heap of incorrect answers.
Huh? What?
I'm seeing a correct answer from someone in the internal.
Really?
Yes. But I'm seeing a whole stack of incorrect answers out in the peanuts.
Uh-oh.
I'll give you a hint. That's his picture.
Oh, okay, so he looked like he's a bit older than the person I'm thinking of.
Mm. And the correct answer is, in fact, Eli Whitney.
Yeah.
Oh.
Back at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution.
Yep.
I think
because that was the whole point of the Industrial Revolution.
Yes.
I think we missed that.
Yes, Henry Ford was the one that did the mass production of cars and stuff, but he wasn't the one that invented mass production, so to speak. Yeah.
The catch.
Yes, that's right. So you immediately thought about Henry Ford, mass production of cars, but he wasn't the first one. And the car wasn't the only thing to be mass produced. Yeah.
They were mass produced. I think one of the first mass produced goods was porcelain. Well, let's say pottery, that sort of stuff. I can't remember what Eli Whitney did, but.
Here's a calculation for you folks. Question 9. A homeowner replaces a 65-watt incandescent bulb with a 15-watt compact fluorescent lamp. The light is on 2,000 hours a year. If the electricity costs 10 cents a kilowatt hour, how much money is saved on the electric bill in 1 year for that bulb?
Oh, God.
This will sort you out.
Oh, yeah.
Those that need a bit of a help with how to calculate,
I wouldn't have done it that way.
Have you put in an answer yet, Terry, or not
No,
yet?
because I wouldn't have done it that way.
Okay. Yeah. I like Zebulon 81, 181's answer. 9. None of you don't have enough flathearts to change the bulb. Okay, let's work your way through this calculation. So the difference between a 65 watt and a 15 watt is obviously 50 watts. Okay, now the watts is the amount of power that it uses per second. All right, so but normally we talk about energy in kilowatt hours. So 50 watts times 2,000 hours gives you 100,000 there. Then you have to change that into kilowatt hours. So you divide by 1,000. So 100,000 divided by 1,000 is 100. So that's 100 kilowatt hours at 10 cents per kilowatt hour means 100 times 10 cents is $10. So the answer should be $10. There you go. Okay. Question 10. Here's one for you, Alan. A radio station is broadcasting at 3,750 kilohertz. This station would be found in which radio band? Is it the 20 metre, the 40 metre, the 80 metre, or the 160 metre bands?
Better stop that because it's right in the middle of the amateur radio band.
They're all amateur radio bands,
Yeah.
I thought.
A particular meter length, I might add.
Wouldn't have a
I'm
clue,
not
mate.
saying which one? It used to be the top end of the novice band when I got my amateur radio license.
Okay, so the bottom part of that image there is what you need to focus on. It's that the wave velocity equals the frequency times the wavelength. And we know that the velocity of electromagnetic radiation is the speed of light, which is about 3 times 10 to the power of 8. That's a 3 with 8 zeros on the end of it, meters per second. So if we divide that by the frequency, which is 3,750 kilohertz, so that's a 3750 with another 3 zeros on the end of it. If we do that division, you'll end up with the wavelength. If you do that, you will end up with the 80 metre band. It's 80 metres is the wavelength of that calculation. Okie dokie. Question 11. Approximately what percentage of the electricity produced in the United States is consumed by residential appliances? So it's not industry, residential appliances only. Is it 20%, 33%, 50%, or 66%?
Oh, God. Residential. I'd say it'd be a high number. Yep.
And you copy me, Alan. I might be wrong.
Yeah, I might be wrong.
Mad
I'm
13,
probably
all of it.
Because I just realised it's not just industrial we're looking at, it's commercial as well, isn't it?
It's just residential.
So yeah. So the other bits of it that we are concerned with, it's not just the industrial, it's also the commercial.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. There's a diagram to help you. You should know the answer now. So there's a diagram from 1993 showing the split up, and from 2009. Obviously, it's probably grown a bit different since 2009 as well, but the trend is still there. It's the yellow that you're looking at. The yellow section is appliances, electronics, and lighting. Okay.
So eventually I could have been right.
Yeah, and the correct answer is about 33%. Okay. Yeah, about a third of the electricity just on gadgets that we have at home.
But isn't that just energy consumption in homes by end uses?
Yes.
So that's not the total, that's not the percentage of the total electricity produced in the United States. That's just the percentage of home use going to appliances, not other things.
No, it's the percentage of the electricity produced in the United States. So of all of the electricity that's produced in the United States, about a third of it is used by residential appliances, which is a fair, significant portion.
Mm.
Mm.
I think I agree with Alan. Paul.
Yeah, the graphs that you are showing actually says energy consumption in homes by end uses.
Yes, yes, I know that those.
Percent, and that is 33%.
Yeah, I know that those graphs show that. I had trouble finding graphs that actually show the statistic that is stated in the actual question. But I think the actual question is still stating that that of all of the electricity that's produced in the US, about a third of it is used by residential home appliances. I'll do a little more research on that and get back to you with an answer for that. Okay, question 12. Compared to terrestrial environments, aquatic environments are more stable in what? Are they more stable in temperature range? Are they more stable in producer-consumer distribution? Are they more stable in the sunlight absorbed? Or are they more stable in the number of species?
Oh.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we've got some correct answers out in the peanuts, and we've got some correct answers in the internal as well. I'll give you a diagram that'll help you. Sort of gives it away, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. The correct answer is temperature range. The oceans are like a big heat bank, and it takes a lot to change their temperature. And the temperature profile of the oceans is pretty stable.
Really only just the surface layer that changes very much, isn't it?
Yeah, and it doesn't change by a real lot either, you know.
No, and it sort of tracks the average temperature of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah. Okay, question 13. The US EPA recently concluded that environmental tobacco smoke should be considered what? So did they say it should be considered a possible human teratogen? For those of you that don't know what a teratogen is, it's a mutating substance, a substance that causes mutations in the genes. A priority, air pollution, a known human carcinogen or a possible human carcinogen? We seem to have mixed feelings in the internal chat, but a lot of consensus seems to be happening out in the peanuts. So here's a diagram to help you. It's a bit fuzzy. And the correct answer actually was it's a known human carcinogen. It's known to cause cancer. Okay, question 14. In the human body, what tendon attaches the gastrocnemius muscle to the calcaneus bone? No, got to know your anatomy here. This is a very well-known tendon. Most people will know the name of this tendon. the limborous cord. We have a correct answer out in the peanuts. I'm not going to say who. Because as soon as I post the picture, you will know which one it is. So seeing as we have a correct answer out in the peanuts, I will post the picture, and now you'll know which one it is. And yeah, the correct answer is in fact the Achilles tendon. Yeah. That gastrocnemius muscle, that was a bit of a red herring for me, because I think gastro has something to do with like stomach or intestines, but no, apparently not.
All I know is in the past I've managed to rupture both of my Achilles tendons.
That can be painful.
It still is, oddly, at the point where they ruptured, because there's scarring.
It's even more painful when you're on a squash court and your Achilles tendon snaps and the muscle goes back up into your leg.
Oh my God!
That's not much fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. Knowing how painful my little bits are.
Yeah.
You didn't do that yourself, did you?
No, but somebody else that I know did, and it was very painful to watch. Yeah. Okay, question 15. If a quiet whisper is 10 decibels, then what is the average pain threshold in decibels for humans? This is a pretty simple one. I think most people know the answer for this one. And I will accept a range of plus or minus 10 on each side. So over 60. Well, you'd want to be walking around with earmuffs on all the time then. Motorhead.
Yeah, that is that a Motorhead concert would be
yes, painful.
yeah, especially anywhere near the stage.
Yeah, and Zebulon 181's answer, Nathan Oakley's voice. Well, that's painful no matter how loud it is.
Terry has transcended pain and gone straight to vaporization levels.
Yeah, there you go. There's a diagram showing the audio range of humans at particular frequencies, and you can see that the pain threshold there is up around about 120 decibels. Right, so if you had anywhere from about 110 to 130, that's about right, because it does depend on the frequency a little bit too.
That's
yeah.
That's a range that increases by 1,000-fold in intensity. Because of
it's a doubling of the intensity every 3 decibels, roughly, isn't it, Alan?
Oh, bugger! Yes,
exactly what it is.
Yeah. Yep.
3 dB is double.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, question 16. Who was the first scientist credited with pointing out that certain gases could cause a greenhouse effect? Now, this answer can be a little bit controversial because there are actually 3 guys, and it depends on what angle you come at it from. So I would accept any of the 3 as an answer here.
I have to say, I haven't got a clue.
The guy that I'm thinking of was the first guy that actually did significant experiments to verify this. He used a scientific method with his IV and his DV and his null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis.
Oh, shut up.
No, it wasn't Heinz. Bovine. Martha Stewart.
It's Martha Stewart. I
know. John Stock's done some looking up. Yeah, John? Yeah?
It's research, not looking up.
Yeah,
mate.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the greenhouse effect was discovered by Joseph Fourier in 1824, first reliably experimented on by John Tyndall in 1858, and first reported quantitatively by Svante Arrhenius in 1806. So any of those 3 names would have done, but I picked John Tyndall.
Oh, if I'd have known I could Google the answers, John, I would have got every single one right by now.
Oh, hey.
All right. Oh, I happen to.
I know the answer to this one.
Yeah. Okay. This is a bit of a giveaway.
I know the answer.
Jesus, I obviously didn't put the animations into this one.
I bet
there you go.
I get it right.
So the dangerous stuff. The dangerous stuff in gasoline is benzene. There you go.
Gasoline? What is this gasoline?
The petroleum.
We only have petrol over here.
Petroleum. What is the phase relationship? This is one for you, Alan.
Another one for Alan. Too. There's favoritism for Alan.
What is the phase relationship between the voltage and current in a capacitor? Yeah, I see Big Blue's already got his answer typed in. Wait for me to read the question.
Slam dunk.
And Blue didn't have time to
Yeah.
Google. That was supposed to be. That was supposed to be.
I wasn't quite as specific as
As Blue. I thought you would have slam dunked that first, then, Alan.
I was just remembering the generalised.
You might be suffering a bit of Alzheimer's, Alan. There you go. So the diagram shows you the answer here. That the current leads the voltage by 90 degrees.
You got it back to front, Alan.
But at least you got the 90 degrees bit right, which is more than what you got, Terry. Just thought I'd mention that.
Hey, I got the last question right. Give me a break.
I like Micro's answer. They love each other very much.
Yeah, that's a relationship.
Yeah. Okay. Second last question. What is movement exhibited by plants towards the center of the earth called?
That's what I thought, Blue.
Blue, you copying me?
No, I was going to put another word in there. That one. That word. That like.
No, I typed it. Then I typed in, missed the enter key. Typed a slash, so I had to fix that. And then all the fuxing around, you beat me.
I'll give you a hint. It's actually a word that starts with G.
Okay, so we're wrong anyway.
Yeah,
Little G or big G?
Well, either one.
Good question.
So be like 181's closest then. I am Groot.
I am Groot.
Much of the zombies. mass gathering. I am Groot. Not gravitational, no. I'll give you an even bigger hint. The first part of the word is geo. And then G-O-T.
Don't think we're going to get this here.
We're not going to get it.
Okay. The answer is geotropism. Oh, yeah. You've heard of that, haven't you?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Rooting.
Yeah.
That's what I got. Take root.
Yeah. But it's not just about roots. It's also about the top parts of the plants that grow upwards. All right. Because that's also the direction towards the center of the earth. Okay.
What up is down?
Well, it's defined by the direction towards the center of the earth.
And also the position of the sun, isn't it?
Last question. Yeah. 20. In 1991, The frozen body of a late Stone Age man was found amazingly intact in the Alps near the Italian-Austrian border.
Oh, yeah.
Its age was determined to be about what? So was it 2,200 years, 5,300 years, 12,800 years, or 30,000 years? Bonus marks for if you know the name of the guy.
No, I didn't read him. I remember it, but I don't remember his name.
I'm not Googling, Terry.
Well, you could have done by now.
No, it's all right, mate.
Well,
We have had his name in a quiz. We have had his name in a quiz before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harold the Dead. No.
Didn't they think he'd been murdered?
I like Micro, my great uncle. Dora's got the name right. His name was not Cedric, it was Ozzie. Right? Without the E on the end. Ozzie. All right. Yeah, and that's him actually there being abstracted out of the ice. Yeah. And the correct answer was 5,300 years.
Hey, I got one right.
There you go.
Yeah. Good on you, mate.
Yeah. So there you go. That's your quiz for today.
Thank you,
Some
Granny.
hard,
That's good.
some hard
Oh,
ones
well,
and some
you're
hard
welcome.
ones, and maybe some hard ones.
Oh, come on. There were a couple in there that were easy that you should have known.
Yeah, they only found him because of the thawing. Otherwise, they would have never found him.
Yeah, climate change.
There's some of those glacial retractions over in some of those mountainous regions over there. It's gone back. They've gone back a lot. Oh, well, what do we got left? Well, since we've got this American voting for that to work out which idiot's going to run the country for the next 4 years again.
Yeah.
Well said.
We've got Isaac Butterfield's take on the whole thing. Would Australia vote for Trump? So. Oh, Pete, before I do that, close that, close. Peter did give me... where did you put it, Peter? Put it somewhere. Open. I don't know if I can make any sense of this, but somebody may be able to explain it. Did that go full screen? This guy see that? That was posted... Peter posted that about 8:45. So he posted that about an hour and a half ago. So I got no idea how to read that or understand it, let alone know what's going on. See, I don't know if it's any similarities to here where when you go to vote, do you just tick a red box or a blue box, or do you have other boxes you tick for your state, or how it works over there for vote?
I think they have lots of different. I think they have lots of different things on their ballots in different states, because I think they have the presidential election and they have elections for senators and all sorts of local government things. Quite often, all get rolled up to be voted for on the same day on the same ballot on a multiple choice ballot paper.
Yeah, well, we've usually got about
if
10
I
or
understand
12.
correctly.
We have about 10 or 12 different parties that we tick to which party we want to represent as a
Big
Prime
Blue's here. We
Minister.
could ask Big Blue, I suppose.
Well, yeah, we could ask Big Blue, seeing he lives over that way.
Huh?
Huh?
Say what?
What?
Now I don't remember what we were saying now. On your ballot paper, like I'll explain ours. Our ballot paper, it's a long piece of paper, and it has all different parties that you can vote for along the top, whether it be Labor, Liberal, and then we can have the Shooters Party and all these other parties that you can vote for. And then you've got the representatives of each state, or underneath that, if you want to pick out certain people's names to represent. And then you usually get two bits of paper, one long one and another smaller one, for just individual people. You can either tick the top one along the top, which party you want, Labor, Liberal or whatever, one of them, or down the bottom you can pick out all the different individual people. I don't know, it's been a while since I voted. That's in New South Wales anyway. I don't know what it's like in Victoria or Queensland, for the federal election that is.
Yeah, it's the same here. I mean, you can vote just straight down the party line, or you can individually select the people you want to vote for. But I haven't seen in fact, in my lifetime, I've never seen a paper ballot, ever.
Wow.
Do you have a preference voting? Or
Yeah, let Blue explain it, John.
oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying I've always voted by machine.
Oh, okay.
We don't have some places have paper ballots, but I've never lived anywhere that had them. It's always just done on a machine.
Wow. Is that any particular reason why that could be better? Or not? Than a paper?
Easier to count.
Yeah, that's true. It takes out the person grabbing the bit of paper and actually counting the...
Yeah, having to actually read it. Sure.
Okay. Wasn't there a big kerfuffle about it last time? At one time, for one of the voting times? A couple
My
of years
headphones back on. Say it again.
I said, wasn't there a few years back they had a bit of a problem with the electronic voting for something at one time, a few years back? I heard that was
it was
Florida or something? Or?
George Bush in Florida. When Bush and what's his name? Oh, damn it, the vice president
Yeah,
at the time. Yeah, that idiot. Yeah, they had a problem with the machines because they used those punch card things. That was the famous hanging Chad debacle. You were supposed to punch the little pieces of paper out. Your ballot had little rectangular things cut in it, and when you put it in the voting machine, you poked the holes, that for the guys you wanted to vote for, and it caused all kinds of problems. Sometimes they call them chads, the little piece of paper didn't fall off and it was still hanging on. Some people didn't push it hard enough, so it was still connected. Just all kinds of horse shit. Al Gore's who I was trying to say.
Al Gore, yeah.
That's when Bush and Gore were in. Yeah, that was a big mess.
Didn't they have to take that to the court? Did they have to have a revote or just a recount? Was it? I can't remember.
Yeah, it ended up in the Supreme Court, I think.
So, going by what's written there, Blue, is there anything there that can you explain that we might not understand, or you don't understand it yourself. I don't know what's
Yeah,
going
you guys stand as good a chance of understanding this crap as I do, honestly. What I what I was listening to earlier this morning, in the wee hours of the morning, is that it may be several days before we know what the real outcome is, because it is very close.
You'll
And some
see.
of these states
Yeah.
have allowed, well, every state I think has absentee ballots. And some of the ones that are outstanding, I won't try to name which ones or which, but at least one of them, as long as your ballot is postmarked yesterday or earlier, they will continue counting these things for 10 more days.
Wow. Does it, and that number that's written next to each person, that once that reaches a certain number, that person will win. Is that as far as it goes?
Yeah, 270 is the magic number.
Mm-hmm.
You need 270 electoral votes to win the election.
Right.
So it's a race to 270. It's a strange kind of system. We're not literally voting for the candidate. You're actually voting for an elector, a person that's going to go to the electoral college and cast a vote for the person you want to vote for. And this is goes all the way back to the beginnings of the country. You know, when it would have been very, very difficult for a place the size of the United States to be able to accumulate all the ballots from wide and far when people were traveling around on the back of a mule, you know. So they would get together and regions would, certain areas, confined, fairly smaller areas, and elect one person to represent them.
Yeah.
And go to the electoral college, and that was the whole deal. Well, we've hung on to that archaic practice all these years, when today I don't see any reason why you ought to not be voting on your personal computer or your iPhone. Yeah, for God's sakes. With all the technology we got, there's no reason to go through all this crap, but we continue going through it. So
John said, I see my birth state, Wisconsin, is dragging its heels. Okay. Is that because some states may be waiting for the postal votes to come in? That's what it seems like then, for some states. Going by the way the voting's gone, some people have rocked up to the electoral, have done it by going to the you go to an electoral place to put your vote in, like manually go somewhere to do it. I can't
I don't
see
know what you pulled up here.
I don't know. This is just something Peter gave me earlier. Yeah, we don't really want to listen to that, Peter. That's got a video there about it. A bit about it. Was Biden the only runner-up to be nominated to be in opposition to Trump in the last 4 years? Do you know of?
Well, Biden was we basically have a two-party system when it gets right down to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Republicans and Democrats. Now there are other parties, and you can vote for other people. You don't necessarily have to vote for Trump or Biden. You can vote for people representing other political parties.
Yeah, same as here.
But they're very, very, they're really small little, it's a wasted vote in my opinion. you're casting a protest vote when you vote for one of those fringe parties.
But if you vote those people in, don't they get seats in the Senate and the?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not unless they win. I mean, yeah. You could have an independent candidate that wins, or somebody from the Libertarian Party that wins. You could have. It could happen, but they're going to have to win the election.
Yeah, but I thought you could have state representatives that could be not either one of the two that are running in one of the other parties get into
I think
the
that's
Senate.
done with other. I think that's done by electing people for the Senate and the Congress, isn't it, Blue? Separately.
Mm. Oh.
Yeah, and you can vote any way you like. I mean, you don't have to vote if you like the Trump for president, but you've got a Democrat running for Senate or the House that you like better. You can vote for them. There's no requirement to vote, all down one line.
With those minor parties, do they have like a preferential? They can throw their votes to the major parties at all?
Or? Oh, you mean like
in Australia? In Australia, that they call a preferential vote. That they you give your vote to a certain party, like if you're a small party and you've got certain votes, you can put your votes into another party. To
no,
you can't.
No.
Yeah.
A few comments in the Peanuts Miros. Yeah, in some states they didn't count them before the poll was closed. Now they are counting them, but the clown president wants to stop her. The system needs to be changed. You can lose the election with 3 million votes. More like Hillary did. Okay.
Hillary won the popular vote.
Yeah.
That's what Miro's talking about.
What's Max?
Hillary won the popular vote by several million.
Wow.
Yet lost the election because she lost in the electoral college.
Bugger. Deep Blue.
What do I think about?
Yeah, what's that about?
What do I think about a conspiracy theorist having a seat in the Senate? Look at who the hell we elected president last time.
Yeah.
I'm getting knocks at the doors all over the place. Alright. We're winding down now, so we've got this to play, and then I've got Blues Cavendish episode 6. That'll be the last update for now for that. Now a bit of lightheartedness now with Isaac Butterfield. So grab that, share that. Hey Finchy, we're just about to watch Isaac. Transition that.
If you walk the streets of Australia right now and ask people would they vote for Donald Trump, most of them would say no way. But then if you followed it up with a question like why, the vast majority of them could not tell you why. Whether it's political or social, they don't really have an answer for why they don't like the old Don. it is a popular thought not to like Donald Trump, because if you do like him, people often and incredibly quickly give you the label by association as racist, sexist, xenophobic, etc. But when Trump was elected in 2016, as a comedian, I was like, that's fucking hilarious. But also as a person, I was like, okay, that's sort of good. You know, he beat the establishment. He beat the media. He was going to be something different. This dude, he might release all the Pentagon bloody secret files and the Area 51 files and all this shit. And some of them have been released. But unfortunately for Trump and his supporters, the job took the man. And he became overtly political, which was really quite a shame. And most of his term as a politician and president in this situation was used deflecting things and arguing against things like Russiagate and all that shit. Which is unfortunate, because there is obviously in America, as you can see from the riots and all these things that are happening right now in the States, there is a lot of things to do and a lot of things that need to be done. And that's my fear with this election, that regardless of the outcome, shit's going to go fucking mental over there. But before people freak out, here's why I like Trump. Number one, he makes me laugh, which is not necessarily something you want from your president, but he does. He upsets people with ridiculous beliefs. Once again, not necessarily something you want from the leader of the free world, but still, quite funny. The problem with the 2016 election was that all the candidates were dirty. Look at fucking Hillary Clinton. People carried on like she was the second coming of Jesus Christ. And in fact, she was allegedly on Pedophile Island 24/7. Well, Bill was anyway. He's like, how many fucking flight logs does Bill Clinton have going to Jeffrey Epstein's island? The media freaks out because there's a photo of Trump and Epstein. Bill was there every fucking Sunday, and I don't know if he was there to watch the footy. And now with people like Joe Biden, who's almost dead, and his son, who's had his laptop seized by the FBI, and apparently this is the word on the street, and maybe this will come out after I record this, but the person who works for the FBI who's looking at his laptop usually deals in CP cases, which is a word I don't want to use on this channel because it will really affect the channel, because you're not allowed to talk about CP, but CP stands for the most heinous shit in the world, child, you know. Now, whether or not, I'm not suggesting that old Hunter Biden's got that on his computer, but some people are. Not to mention the whole Biden family's getting paid from Russia and all that type of shit. It's all dirty as fuck. It's politics, and that's what we learn. We learn that politics is a dirty fucking game. But in the same vein as all that, you are fucking batshit insane if you don't think that Trump has done extremely dirty things. Maybe not as president, but definitely in his dealings as a businessman over the years. That's just how the world operates. But here's what really shit me about the Democratic Party. Number one, in 2016, they fucked over Bernie Sanders, who definitely, if it wasn't a fucking rort and a conspiracy against him, he would have won the Democratic vote and then went up against Trump, and I think probably would have won. And now in 2020, at the start of the year, Tulsi Gabbard, who was by far the better candidate over fucking Joe Biden, he's a skeleton. Anyway, Tulsi was, she's a congresswoman out of Hawaii. She has military experience and she's from a Hindu and Samoan background. This is a pretty diverse woman who's switched on, smart, and I've heard her speak. She sounds fucking good. But no, she got fucked out of the Democratic race again, and this time allegedly by the overlords at Google. She ended up suing them, the case got thrown out, but it was very interesting to hear all about that. Dirty shit like that, political fuckery, is why I would have voted for Donald Trump. Which I know people freak out about and people call me right wing and all that type of shit, and I'll address that at the end of this video. Trump has done great things in his term as president. He's basically mended the relationships between North Korea and America, maybe avoiding some type of nuclear war, or at least them destroying the capital of South Korea, which I think is a positive thing, regardless of Kim Jong-un being fucking insane. But he's done horrible things too, like splitting up families at the border. That is fucking so bad. Putting people, Mexican people, in cages, even though they were built by the Obama administration and Joe Biden, but still, it's happening. And Trump should be ashamed of that. The only way for me to look at the American election is to come to this conclusion. Like any election or any political party or any political person based in Australia, America, or throughout Europe, All politicians are fucked. They are worse than real estate agents, and that is saying something. Now, as I said before, I really want to address this whole right-wing thing. I get articles all the time calling me a right-wing comedian, all this shit, just because I have some conflicting opinions, if you will, on things like trans people, and basically that's really it. That's why people push me over there, and feminism as well. People throw me in the old far-right category. So, there's a couple of tests online you can do to figure out what side of politics you are really on. So let's go and do them. I came to the realisation then, as I was moving studios, that some people would actually be quite mad at me for what I said about Trump. Whatever political party you love, it is ridiculous that you treat them like a fucking team. You team Biden, you team Trump. How can you sit there and think to yourself, everything that comes out of these people's mouths is fucking gospel? If you think like that, you're a fucking idiot. Okay, the first one is called the political compass, as it pisses down outside here in Australia, even though it's spring. This is it's quite a long test, so I'll do it really quickly and I'll cover the main questions that I think have an impact on where you lie the most. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. I mean, it should serve humanity. People should look after each other, but also, if you didn't serve the transnational corporations, it wouldn't happen. So, I mean, disagree, because otherwise it just wouldn't happen. I always support my country, whether it's right or wrong. Strongly disagree. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Disagree. You can be proud of where you come from. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think it has to be this whole patriot sort of thing. You just be proud. It's like, it's almost like your family. Like, you're proud of those people, even though they might be assholes. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. Now, if you're a black person doing this, you might say, my fucking 12-inch dick and the ability to slam dunk is superior qualities, but I know what they're trying to get at here, and I strongly disagree. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Disagree. Military action that defies international laws is sometimes justified. Depends what the laws are. I don't know anything about international law. I don't think anyone who takes this test knows anything about international law. Disagree. There is a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Well, I guess some of the news sites, that is, I guess, agree. The rich are too highly taxed. We'll define rich. The super rich aren't taxed at all. People who earn over $100,000 a year are taxed way too high. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher medical care. No, fucking strongly disagree. Everyone should have access to equal medical care. You should be able to walk into a fucking hospital and get given whatever you need, and the government should pay for it. Abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Strongly disagree. I completely agree with a woman's right to choose whether or not she has a baby. I also agree that a man should also have the right to choose whether or not he looks after that child. Why should you get jizzed in and then your life changes? I agree that it's a very tough and touchy subject, because that zygote, or whatever it happens to be, that clump of cells, will end up being a baby, so it's not just like it's nothing, but it's a very tough thing. Should you now be given a child just because you've had sex? I think that people should have the ability to choose, because the last thing we need in this world right now is young people, babies, children, toddlers who don't have good parents. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theatres, museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. Disagree. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. Disagree. All people have their rights, but it's better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. Disagree. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. Agree. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offence. Strongly agree. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. Strongly disagree. The most important thing for children is to learn to accept discipline. That's not the most important thing at all. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. Agree. First generation immigrants can never fully be integrated within their new country. Disagree. I mean, maybe not fully, but that's another hard question. What's good for the most successful corporations is ultimately good for all of us. Disagree. A significant advantage of the one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay the process in a democratic political system. Yeah, I guess that's sort of an advantage, but defends what they're trying to get through. Should we cut all dicks off? Yeah, agreed. Let's do it. And then it's out that afternoon. But in the democratic political process, they'll be like, hey, don't do that. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crime. Absolutely. If it's without a doubt that this person did it, absolutely. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. Well, art is in the eye of the beholder, but also a plastic box is not art. It's a waste of time to try and rehabilitate some criminals. Agreed. Multi-international companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. Agreed. You cannot be moral without being religious. Strongly disagree. Charity is better than social security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. Disagree. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. Strongly disagree. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. 100% agree. They should not be excluded. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. Strongly agree. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. Sometimes. All right, let's see where I stand. I am a libertarian left. See? You fucking turds! Fuck me. That's very interesting. So that's where I land. There's another quick one. I'll do it really quick. I won't even go through the answers. Let's see our result. Now it's asking me which Dragon Ball Z villain I am. Fuck me, I pressed the wrong button. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just in the middle. I'll take the best from both sides. Be a good motherfucker. Peace in the Middle East. Keep it moist. Me dick stinks. Toodaloo au revoir. Bye!
And the expressions and comments displayed there by Isaac may not be everyone's thing. I'm trying to think of the statement, that is. You have to do a test online to find out what political side you're on. Wow.
I like Dora's comment. An American libertarian left is still right wing in the EU.
I know you left from your right.
Of course, technically, if you live in the EU, you don't live in a democracy. Because the EU is not a democratic organisation. Well, all the people in the EU, higher the higher end of the EU, all the people who actually get to make decisions, all the people who can propose legislation, are all appointed. So technically, it's a bureaucracy, not a democracy.
Same thing with England, isn't it? You've got the Lords that's supposed to pass the bills. They're not elected by people.
Not to the not in the way that the EU is. The House of Lords is now essentially appointed by the government, but it's like I think it's like your federal Senate in that it's a second house, so it's there to basically it's there to review legislation. And they can then, and if they disagree with it, they can send it back to the lower house, the elected house.
All right.
Essentially, with suggestions for changes that should be made. Amendments. That's it. They can propose amendments and send it back with amendments. But the lower house essentially now has the power to insist that a bill goes through in the form that it's in.
Okay.
It's just that mostly, if mostly the government, mostly there might be an amendment proposed by the House of Lords, and the government will happily let it go through with those amendments. Yeah. But essentially, in that regard, the House of Lords can only slow down stuff that the Commons wants to do. They can't actually block it anymore.
Okay.
Wow.
What have we got left here? Sorry, I was playing around with the tiles because you had all the planes going, so I thought I'd just line them up along the bottom. Okay, well, we'll check in on Blue and we'll see what he's got here.
Hello everybody, welcome to Blue Marble Science. Cavendish, episode 6. Well, 5 months ago, we started out with the idea of building a machine like Henry Cavendish built in 1798 to determine the density of the Earth and in turn the universal gravitational constant. Well, I'm pleased to tell you that this is what we ended up with. This is the completed Blue Marble Science version of Cavendish. Now, a lot's gone on in the last 5 months. And when I made the last video, I had just finished the framework that supports the large masses. But there were some more things that had to be done after that. The experiment itself needed a table to sit on. And I decided that I would just build something very similar to a workbench. That's nothing more than 1.5 by 3 inch spruce construction lumber that's been planed down and glued up into a tabletop. And I like this sort of construction because it's simple, it's straightforward, and it's not hard to do at all. After you make the top, all you need to do is attach some skirt boards and end boards and build some legs. And I decided to use the same sort of lumber that we used for the posts in the framework. And that ended up with a really nice, rugged, heavy table that won't be susceptible to vibration. So the only thing else it needed was 4 dowels that would be positioned to support the enclosure at its support points. So there you can see those things installed. Now, of course, we didn't want to just leave it as raw wood, so I put a couple of coats of tung oil finish on it. And then it was time to set things up. So the framework and the table both have levelers under each of the legs. The first mission was to level the framework. Secondly, the table had to be made perfectly level. And then finally, the table needed to be accurately positioned under the center of rotation of the large masses. So that's what you see here is the plumb bob that is hanging from the shaft that those large masses rotate around. I needed to do one other thing. The original torsion beam was made out of pine, and it was just a prototype anyway. So I wanted to remake that beam, and I made it out of some very straight grain poplar. There's a picture of the beam, and here's a little bit of video as I was attaching the support wires and torsion wire. Got all the wires in there. I remembered how difficult this was the first time, so I decided just to put a little block up here, that little ferrule that the, or sleeve that all the wires go through is just stuck in a hole in it. Maybe you can see it right there. And the wires pulled up through it, and these two screws work out to be pretty handy for maintaining the tension. And I know I've got the tension about the same because just like a guitar, those notes are the same. See if we can hear it again. I'll put them up a bit closer. And a little sharp. Not bad. This is actually the torsion wire. I want to get some solder up inside that little sleeve before I pull this up any further. In fact, it doesn't really have to go up any further. It can stay just like that. I may leave it that way. So, let's clean off the tip on the soldering iron and see what we can do here. So there you have it. We're done. So how do we find G with this device? Well, it turns out we can derive that equation at the bottom of the page, and I'll do that for you in a later video. But by knowing or measuring these 5 things, the length of the torsion beam, the movement of that arm as we change position with the weights, the distance between the center of masses when the weights are in proximity to each other, the period of oscillation, and the mass of the large spheres. By knowing those 5 things, we easily calculate G. And it turns out that only 2 of those things, the movement of the arm and the period of oscillation, have to be measured. The other 3 things are fixed. They're fixed by the design. So what's up next? Well, we need to set up the instrumentation. And after I play with this thing for a while, I need to write a test plan. And then following that test plan, I need to collect and analyze the data. And with all of that in hand, we can publish the results. So I want to leave you with a few thoughts. Sapele wood for the project, $170. A couple of really heavy lead balls, $400. Seeing mass attract mass, that's priceless. Hey, thanks for watching. Stay tuned, folks, there's more to come. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons down there. Hit the little bell if you want notifications. And if you'd like to contribute to the project, visit me at paypal.me/BlueMarbleScience. A link to that's up in the description. I want to thank the Patreons and all the people who have contributed. It has really made it possible. So with that, I'll see you guys with some results in the not too distant future. Thanks again.
Yeah. It's getting close. Not long now. The excitement's building.
Yeah, this project's moving along at the speed of smell, I think.
Oh, we can't wait to sit down and watch the laser beam oscillate back and forward when it settles too. That'll be riveting.
That is absolutely. I've done quite a bit of that in the last several weeks. I can tell you that's just exactly like watching paint dry.
Okay, what do we got here?
Yeah, it's not terribly dramatic, that's for sure.
No.
I guess now you know how Cavendish must have felt when he took 50-something observations.
Yeah, I do. I do, and I can take my DSLR out there.
Yeah.
And set it up and make time lapses, so I don't have to sit there and make handwritten notes every 15 seconds. Cavendish must have either had some helpers he paid handsomely to do that bullshit, or I'm sure that man would have been stark raving mad if he sat there through all those tests staring through that damn telescope. Jesus God, I can't imagine that.
Mm. Some people do, though. They dedicate their lives to, a particular thing. I mean, that's what like Tycho Brahe was like. He just dedicated his life to taking exact and really good quality measurements of star positions. He didn't actually do anything much with them. He just took a lot of measurements, and very good measurements. And it was up to other people when they finally got their hands on his data to actually do something with those measurements.
Yeah, exactly. It is still, I mean, I've only played with this thing for a few weeks now since it's been finished, but it still is a bit exciting to me, at least, when I move those big weights and see that damn thing move.
Mm.
I didn't touch it. All I did was move the big weights, and the oscillations shift by 30 or 40 millimeters.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, you stand there and say, okay, now, Riley, tell me again that gravity is not a force. Tell me again how gravity doesn't behave like a force. I'll be damned.
Yeah.
It sure does.
John Rapp wanted to know what type of species poplar is.
It's not a real hard wood, but it's a sort of low grade hardwood.
But what I remember, it tends to be nicely straight grained, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. That's the reason I selected it. It's fairly light. It's not terribly dense. It's not going to be dense like oak or hickory or something like that, or maple.
Not quite as light as balsa, though, is it?
Oh, nothing's that light.
Yeah, but that's a hardwood.
Yeah, that's what's so popular.
Yeah.
Because it's a broadleaf deciduous tree.
Right.
Okay.
But it's good to work with. It's easy to work, and it doesn't have screwy, tangled up grain in it. So, you always know you can plane it nicely.
I know it's been it was really popular for furniture in the UK for a very long time.
Yeah, it makes great furniture. It doesn't have any particularly pretty grain pattern to it, but it's not ugly either. I mean,
It was very popular, was it, Alan?
Yeah. Popular was really popular.
Yeah.
John said I knew it. It was a reference to an argument Big Blue had with Chris Berry. Okay.
oh, that was John's comment above. He said, "What's popular asking for a friend in construction?" Well, Chris Berry and I got into it a little bit yesterday on Jose's show.
Oh.
And Chris proudly announced he had done residential framing, but he didn't know what poplar was.
Oh, okay. He didn't know what it was. Okay.
And I mean, I was close to saying, "Have you ever been to the friggin' Home Depot? I mean, for God's sakes, Lowe's. Let me name a few more big box stores. Look right next to the oak, and you'll see poplar." What do you mean you never heard of it? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's usually quite a pale coloured wood, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
No, you probably just went to the building site. The pine framing used to probably get delivered or whatever, and that was it. That's as far as you got.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Spruce, pine, fir, and usually the structural stuff is southern yellow pine. Wall studs and stuff like that will be, they call it SPF, spruce, pine, or fir. And you don't know which one it is. Yeah. They don't seem to know which one it was. I do know this, they grow 2x4s. You can go there and find 2x4s with bark on 3 friggin' edges. Now tell me how big that friggin' tree was.
Well, you're going to go all the way up the damn tree, aren't you, Lou?
Yeah.
I made the mistake of listening to Broken Toy and Delays on Ranty's so-called show today. Man, that is a dumb crew.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And Brandon, oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's such an arrogant little ass.
Yeah. And Bev, that thinks there's only 3 surveyors in the entire world. 3 surveyors in the entire world that think that...
Scott. He's right now.
Sorry, I didn't know I was going.
Thanks. Yeah. Bev thinks there's only 3 surveyors that think that plain surveying involves 8 inches per mile squared. He obviously can't have talked to many surveyors.
No.
No, I think you might have touched on this earlier, but at least Ranty came out in support of conspiracy cats. I don't know if anybody else saw that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I did actually. I just saw it. Yeah. So good on him for calling out Sleeping Warrior on that, because that is disgusting what Riley's been doing.
Yes, and he's been caught out big time with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Anyway, sorry.
Well, the more you stir it, the worse it stinks. But I would, I certainly would enjoy seeing Anthony in a little legal trouble over that.
Yeah, well, sounds like Conspiracy Cats has the option if he wants to take it. So,
the problem is it's really, really expensive to start any sort of defamation.
Well, the question you ask yourself going into that is, what do I win at the end of the day? I mean, all of this, you just perpetuate a bullshit story to begin with. And even if you do win, what are you going to get out of Anthony?
Nothing.
Not much.
You're gonna win the right to pay a huge legal fee to your lawyer.
Yeah.
It's Range Rover. There you go.
It would. I mean, he could report it to the police, but I doubt if they would follow any sort of prosecution for it. The only time that it would probably be worthwhile pursuing would be if it had actually, if it actually affected his teaching status, which of course it should do because it's complete and utter bollocks.
Yeah, Dave was saying 8 inches per mile squared is parabolia. Yeah, in short distances you could get away with it using 8 inches per mile, but after a certain distance it does turn out to be a parabola.
Well,
Although the difference even at a couple of 100 miles is not huge.
no, you can literally go hundreds of miles and have no significant error in it using 8 inches per mile squared.
But we didn't
Real.
bring that up. It was the flat earthers that first brought that into the argument.
But you have to remember what it means.
That's right.
It's
Drop from the tangent.
Yeah.
They try to conflate that with hidden distance, which it isn't. It's not that at all.
No, Zebulon didn't hear the latest gossip about Riley.
Need to go watch Mr. Sensible's stream, Zebulon. Mr. Sensible put out a video about it. He'll give you some interesting information about one Mr. Riley. Yeah.
Yeah, Clive, that's exactly what happened. And that was over Riley calling me and Sensible and others spastics.
Is it the one for message for Anthony Riley? Is that the one? Important message?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll put that out in the peanut gallery.
Yeah, when Riley started that spastic nonsense, I took personal offense to it myself.
Yeah, well, a number of years actually asked him not to use it, and he still did.
Well, Riley has no idea. Riley doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, that's blatantly obvious.
I mean, look at the years and years and years he's referred to Miles Davis as Miles the Liar.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, my oldest daughter, who passed away about 10 years ago, was born with cerebral palsy, and when you turn around and call me a spastic, it hits home. And I take offense to that. And if I ever get within arm's reach of Anthony Riley, I'll knock his teeth out.
Yep.
And yes, Anthony, that was a threat.
I kind of took it more as a promise, actually.
There you go. That's that Mr. Sensible's video somebody wanted. That's that. And we're going to watch a pip to finish off. We've been going for nearly 4 hours already. Gee, time flies when we're doing nothing.
Yeah. Well, you might have been doing nothing, Terry, but I wasn't.
Well, somebody's got to do nothing.
My phone wouldn't stop ringing.
We all contributed. Okay. Oh, that's what I needed, sorry. Bugger. I had it right and then I mucked it up. Share screen. Transition. Right. There we go.
I swear that I'm not swearing. Sarah had a secret she told me not to tell, but Sarah is a nasty troll, so she can go to, "Hello, Mr. Teacher. Don't call on me. I quit. My dog crapped on my homework, but I don't give a ship fun pets to Grandma. Her kiss feels like a lick. Gramps had Granny's teeth again. Yes, he's a giant. Dick is short for Richard. Eat beans and blast that gas. Don't freaking steal my salty fries. I'll kick you in the ask me how my day was. Like green pus on a sore. Clown makeup should be a crime, unless you are a horror films of psychos, plus bloody gore and guts. If chainsaw freaks came after me, I'd punch them in the nuts or extra salty. With practice, farts can hiss. Bad breath freaks like stank roadkill. And kids fill pool with pistols won't kill zombies. Pinworms make butts itch. Hey, he cracked my new iPhone. That dumb son of a pitch-black room scare tough guys. Bras fly on brass poles. Boneheads who don't like this book are stuffy, lame. Grass holes are for weasels. Sniff my sweet toe jam. A maggot's crawling up my leg, but I don't give a damage is my nickname. This part is sure to suck. We've reached the end. Peace out, my friend. If Miff yelled, what the funk? The end. Don't forget to like and subscribe and press the wee bell notification. And a huge big thank you to all my subscribers and patrons. See you next week. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
There we go.
That actually reminds me. There's a shopping chain here called Shiploads. Yeah, you have to be really careful to say.
Yeah. You have to say it right, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's your lot for tonight. I think we've done everything we can do. You can come over to the Discords if you want to have a chat afterwards. Just get rid of that. Oh, thanks, John. Thanks, Blue. Thanks, Edward Buchner, Scott, and Alan. Who do we have out there? Dora, Mira, Zebulon, all the usual crowd. Clive, Mad, John. I'm going to skip a few here. Death. Dora. Okay, Dave. Yeah. You know who you are if I forgot you. Makes it easier that way. Okay then, good night panel. Good night Peanuts.
Good night,
Night,
Peanuts.
Peanuts. See you all in Discord.
Good night, Canarium albums, Chinese olive pits.
Oh, you had thought of another one. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, getting a bit desperate, I thought, there at one stage.
I am.